Hey guys, welcome back. I'm here with a new guest, and it's not quite Chalky. It's Dog. How you doing?
I'm pretty good, man. I just woke up to cast, figured it'd be fun.
All right. Well, it should be. It is fun. We'll
Yeah,
start off
exactly.
pretty slow here. Eventually, we're going to get into the Tempo Storm versus Cloud9 match. Should be an interesting one. Both of these teams, kind of in the middle of the pack ish, kind of near the bottom, I guess.
It's a nice way of
Yeah.
putting it, Crip.
Yeah.
Kind of
Yeah.
near the bottom.
Kind of near the bottom. Cloud9 has a 1-1 record with 9 game wins, and Tempo Storm has a 0-2 record with 8 game wins. But we've seen a lot of good stuff from both teams, so it's kind of hard to count either of them out here. A lot of close games in this tournament format, and as we were on break, Dog, you were mentioning that the format's a bit strange. How do you feel about this format as one of the players?
Okay, so you were like asking me my win-loss or whatever, and I feel like this format kind of funnels you into losing more games, just because like generally you want to put your better matchups first. So you like look at their lineup and you're like, okay, these are good matchups. So you put those people in first, and then you send in the guy last who has the worst matchup. So he's obviously going to lose the most games, but he has the most chances also. So he's going to be like losing a ton of games, and hopefully he doesn't get discouraged because like then he just like throws the whole thing. But basically, one person's going to have a really bad record in this format, and I think that's been the case with a lot of these games. So or a lot of these series at least.
Did you get a chance to catch some of what just went down here with Show losing 6?
6 games. Yeah, I did. And that's, I mean, his wasn't so much bad matchups. I think it might have been draws or something. But yeah, this format definitely like kind of makes people have bad records, I feel like. Or at least one person makes them feel bad.
Yeah, but it's a team league. I mean, if you go down but your team wins, that's good enough,
Yeah.
right?
Exactly. You better hope you have a supportive team. That would be very depressing if your team started berating you and you just went like 0-6 or something. Oh my goodness. I would cry.
Well,
I mean-
Monk is probably writing up the release contract for Show as we speak. So,
We kid, but I think in general, I think pretty much every team that I've heard so far, like every time I talk to one of these players, they always talk about when they're losing, their team is always very supportive. Like RDU talked about it when he wasn't doing very well in the first week. Of course, we all support Savit in the last week, and I'm sure we'll support Show this week. Also, just Trump, his team has also been very supportive. Like Dog, I'm sure you've been very supportive, right? We've seen that in Kibler's articles that he just says, yeah, we realized like we decided to line up together, and it's not Trump's fault, it's the team's fault that you guys like just took a loss.
No, we told them 1-6 wasn't value, so to get off Value Town. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, I mean, like, we made the decision together to bring like a deck, and I mean, he played it well. He played his best. No one can be mad at anyone. So it's just play it goes.
well, losses will happen. Some people like to see those, so I guess we have a show for everyone. Before we get into the games, though, before we go on into more of the matchups here and the class selections and all that, we have a pretty cool player spotlight for you guys to see. I believe it's Hype Dog?
Yep.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, let's
love
check
this.
that out. We'll come back. We'll get into the games.
Hi, my name's Hyped. I've been playing Hearthstone since beta. I've been playing for Tempo Storm for about a year in tournaments, and I stream occasionally. I'm most known for Miracle Rogue back in Gadget Zen days. I've also been known for playing a lot of Freeze Mage, or sort of bringing it back. The format of the Team League is really interesting. It's something new I have to think about. It's sort of like the NEL League that Tempo Storm's been playing a little bit, so we might have a small edge there. Although, since it's only 6 decks rather than all 9 classes, we don't get to bring over some of the cool tactics that the Chinese use to take advantage of the weak classes. But maybe some of that will come into play. The secret to having very cool hair is to constantly be insecure about it and always adjusting it whenever you see your reflection to make sure it's just right. To all my fans, stay hyped.
Some pretty good stuff there. Yeah, I called Hype Dog right before we went into that, and that's because I raided with him in World of Warcraft for several years, and that was his like nickname in our scene then. And it looks like he is going to open up here for Tempo Storm. It's going to be Hyped on Warrior for Tempo Storm and Strifecrow on Paladin from Cloud9. Now I was talking about, before the last series started, how Paladin hasn't had too great of a record. I hadn't realized the record was as disastrous as it was for Druid. But certainly it hasn't been impressive for Paladin either.
Yeah, that being said, Paladin, this is like by far the best matchup. This matchup in Blackrock Mountains, it's actually 84% for the mid-range Paladin, or for just Paladin against Warrior. Because we know that typically Hype likes to run Control Warrior. He doesn't run Patron Warrior. So if Hype actually just suddenly decided to run Patron today, it'd suddenly be like switched around basically.
It's interesting he chose to bring Control Warrior over Patron.
Oh, wow.
Or he
didn't. There we
Never
go.
mind.
That's good.
That's
That's a
interesting.
good matchup.
Yeah, now it's like it's flipped all the way around because Hyped in the last 2 weeks, he was playing Control Warrior every single time. So it's interesting that he just decided to switch it up.
Hyped is one of those players that has a very quick learning curve. So when it comes to picking up new decks, even the more complicated ones, he's certainly able to do it on a very amazing level, I would say. Haven't played games with him in the past. He's one of those like very, very quick learners, and I wouldn't be surprised if we see just top level patron play from him today.
Yeah, he was actually running Harrison, and he didn't keep it. That's kind of interesting. I mean, I assume you want to use it for like just the card draw, but I'm not sure. I think maybe he thinks it's aggro. Maybe he's like looking for whirlwinds and stuff. Who knows?
I don't think he thinks it's aggro. I think, well, I didn't quite get a chance to compare the class lineups to last week's, but last week Strifecrow also brought Paladin, and it was this. I actually think it's like a double zombie chow, like control Paladin.
Yeah. Well, I think most teams these days, they're running the exact same 5 classes, but the 6th one is kind of just up for debate. And in this case, Cloud9, they thought that Druid just wasn't in the top 6, and instead they're running Paladin instead.
That's interesting.
Do you have? I know you're pretty good at these statistics, Monk. I didn't realize you quite had such a library. But do you know how Paladin has been performing in this tournament so far?
I don't have that exactly, but it's been performing pretty badly, especially just because Trump has been performing badly with it. And in the first week, RDU performed pretty badly with it, with just aggro Paladin. But you know, Strifecrow, I think he's been doing really well. He got a win off of Savit's Druid last week, and I think he got a win. I think he's like actually 2-0 with Paladin in Archon Team League.
Yeah,
I didn't realize that. I guess that's a good reason to bring it back.
It mostly just comes up to like what matchups you get, and it's kind of just like trying to get lucky with it. I mean, I lost to Strifecrow's Paladin whenever I played Freeze Mage, and like I don't know. I mean, it was a bad matchup, obviously, but I kind of drew poorly. So, like, you can steal wins with it. It's just I don't think Paladin has that many good matchups, so I'm not really sure if it's, like, the class to bring right now. But, I mean, if it's working for him, all the more power to him.
Well, I think it definitely makes a lot of sense for Strifecrow, or at least for Cloud9, to bring Paladin to this series, because Hyped is known as... he's been playing Control Warrior the past few weeks, and, like, as you said, the matchup is just flipped around when you bring Patron Warrior. So on the other side of things, I think it's very smart for Hyped to bring Patron Warrior instead of Control Warrior, at least this week.
What do you think about the play we just saw Hype make? I think a lot of players watching could consider playing the Acolyte and then playing the Coin Emperor the following turn. Probably a play they would often expect from a Grim Patron deck, just flooding a bunch of cards, making them discounted, and then, you know, going out. What do you think about this play with a Dust Bite? Do you think it's maybe the right one, or is it maybe a bit overly defensive?
I think it wasn't really for the defense. It was more to get the draw off the Acolyte early. Because, like, right, you don't want to Emperor unless you have, like, a really good hand. Because the way he's trying to win this is he's just going to go for, like, the big Wombo combo where he does, like, 20 to face or, like, 40 to face in one turn. Instead of just, you know, going for the Patron board where he, like, you know, might get a Quality Consecrated or something. So he's trying to get, like, a ton of cards that are actual, like, combo pieces before
rather than just a number of cards.
Yeah, and he wanted to draw at least one more off Acolyte. That's why he did the Dust Bite, so we could set it up.
Well, we have seen the the 10 to face, the 20 to face, the 40 to face. But I think we've also seen the 60 to face. That's been my favorite one.
Yeah, unfortunately, not in the last match between Show and RDU.
Yeah. All right. Well, Strife Crow just playing stuff to stick on the board. He's basically known for this type of gameplay all from the beginning of his Hearthstone career. Just playing the mid-range, playing the control game very successfully.
It's interesting he played the... I guess you don't really need Aldor much. I was going to say it's interesting he played the Aldor over the BGH.
Yeah, he probably just feels the... I mean, the only thing you're really going to Aldor that's going to make much of a difference is a frothing. That
and you could BGH it. Exactly.
Yeah. Well, Hype loses both his death bites here. That's a pretty big deal. And you really want to play an Emperor into a creature that kills it directly.
I think you can use the Whirlwind if you want. I think he wants to save it for the Emperor. But he might go like Acolyte Slam Whirlwind. That deals with it pretty effectively. You could also just go Acolyte in a Rage Armor Up. Or Acolyte in a Rage and then Slam also, just to get the extra card draw and cycle. But yeah, I think he's just planning to win this through the Wombo combo. So, we'll see.
Yeah. The Death Bite being gone, though, kind of makes that a much more difficult situation, though, it feels.
Yeah, he still has 2 Whirlwind effects in his hand and at least 2 others in his deck, so I don't think he's feeling too bad right now.
Does go with the Emperor.
I think he's doing this because he feels like he has enough combo pieces in his hand. I think like basically most of the cards in his hand
combo
are
pieces.
Exactly.
Every card is a combo piece, except the Acolyte, I guess. Yeah.
So from Strife Crow's position, do you really want to be like putting down a Belcher to feed maybe Frothings or Patrons and more damage? And do you even want a hero power, or do you just want to like drop Sylvanas?
Yeah, I feel like any turn where you open board Sylvanas is a good one against the Grim Patron.
It's true.
Yeah, it's typically somewhat difficult for Patron Warrior to deal with. They can't just like fill the board up with Patrons because then the Sylvanas will threaten to steal it. But generally, I kind of like Loatheb a bit better, just because it counters like the more variety of decks in this format. And we've seen a lot of decks in the in the Archon team like just run Loatheb over the Sylvanas, especially like in decks like the mid-range Druid even.
Actually shows the hero power there. I think Hype's just gonna cycle. Strife Crow probably just needs to put pressure on Hyped because like that's the problem with Paladin. It doesn't put enough pressure on people. It's kind of like a little reactive, kind of like Priest. So like it just gives Patron Warriors so much time to draw, and Hype's like he's at 22. There's 4 power on board. He's just gonna drop some units that are gonna need to be dealt with. And yeah, ooh, that's
also,
a good draw.
I think the reason to not Sylvanas was he's probably just fearing an execute play. But I feel like if you're gonna get executed, the Warrior's likely to have to use a combo piece again to trigger the execute.
Yeah,
which I feel is fine.
Yeah, the other problem, like you mentioned, the Paladin has a tough time pressuring the Warrior, and the best way for them to do it is actually just like Knife Juggler into Muster. But the Warrior has like just so many solutions to deal with that, like we saw in the beginning of this game. And now this is like exactly what the Warrior wants right now. He's sitting at a very comfortable 19 HP, and the game is like playing out exactly what he wants.
All right. Well, I mean, it looks nice, the True Silver, but you don't want to leave those minions on the board.
I know. It's so...
Yeah, and even if you True Silver, you don't really have anything to spend the last 4 of your mana with.
Well, you could suicide your creature's Consecrate and True Silver face.
Oh my goodness, that's aggressive. The thing is, like, the Paladin has how many cards? He has like 8, and he only has like 2 good ones, I guess, to say, because like the rest are kind of like reactive. Yeah, True Silver and Sylvanas are the only ones you really want to be playing.
Let me think.
This just feels like it's going to set up himself for a disaster, but he does have Consecrate, and he does have True Silver. Like if there's like 1 Grim Patron left at 3 health, you can choose over that and consecrate the others. So I don't know. It feels like you can actually afford to take a wave of Grim Patrons with this hand.
I like this. It might be lethal though. You only have one whirlwind. You only have one whirlwind effect though, so it might not be.
Yeah, we have a lot of targets for it.
Yeah, you have a lot of patrons though. I think he thinks it's lethal. I'm really bad at doing math on this. Like, I don't even try. I usually just wait until I have like 10 damage over lethal, and I'm just like, all right, this should be enough.
Well, the thing is, you have to go.
Yeah. If you make it, you have to do it in the very beginning. For sure.
Yeah, I like this from Hyped. We've seen a lot of players, especially in the Archon team, like they've just been kind of like stalling on this, but Hype just goes for it right away. Even if it's not lethal, I think he's in a decent position, I guess. I think it's probably going to be lethal, though. It's just so much.
Yeah.
Like, if it's not lethal, then you have to put your opponent on a quality consecrate here.
Do you, though? Because you have a consecrate.
Oh, that is lethal.
Oh, wow. That's lethal. Dang.
Alright, so now we basically get to judge planned or not planned. Dog, what's your decision here?
I think Heist is a very smart dude, so I would say it was plans.
Alright, Monk?
Well, I have to go with the opposite then. I think, like, most of the time, like, you kind of know it's, like, around lethal. So I think Hyped, like, he made a judgment call. Like, it wasn't 100% guessing. It was, like, I have, like, an 80 or 90% of getting lethal there.
I'm actually with you on that. Yeah. I think it's also, it's like, this is probably lethal. Yeah. It's, like, too much to figure out. But if I wait to try to figure it out, I'm going to be, like, one charging Grim Patron short that I actually have of lethal at the end of the turn because of rope. So yeah, goes for it, ends up having it. Pretty good game. Grim Patron takes first blood for Tempo Storm, but what does that really matter?
I mean, if you just consider the last match, it matters a lot because Grim Patron was the deck that ended up going 0-5.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So yeah, maybe we are overplaying the strength of Grim Patron in this format. But certainly the players in the tournament probably disagree.
Yeah. I don't know. I think Patron's really strong. Zixo, whenever I was talking to Zixo about the matches, he was just like, yeah, I mean, I got a loss, but it was to Patron, so I just took that out of the pool for my team. That's basically what he said. He was like, it didn't count because it was Patron. So yeah. I think players just think it's like a deck that's probably going to win.
Mm-hmm. From the lineup differences, we do see most players bringing the same classes except Gara. He's bringing Shaman instead of Priest. It looks like they're sticking his lineup with the unusual ones. It's like, we have these 5 classes, and Gara, you got to find a 6th to play.
Yeah, it's pretty much exactly the same 5 classes that everyone is deciding to play, and then that 6th class is like Shaman, Priest, Druid, or Paladin.
I like how Drew just fell out.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's like because everyone was so scared based on what happened last week with Savitz doing so poorly, Osaka doing poorly in the first week, and even I think Eloise did poorly with Druid in the first week as well.
Mm-hmm. And from Cloud9's side, actually, I think they're running exactly the same 6 classes, but no player is running the same 2 classes they were running last week.
They're all running the same classes as they were in week 1, though. So it's like,
okay.
It's pretty much the same. If Ikot plays mid-range Hunter and Zoo, it's pretty much the exact same thing. Strifecrow, he's known as a Tempo Mage player, though, and he brought Freeze Mage in week 1. So it might be the case that Strifecrow decided to change up his mage. Who knows?
Well, we were talking about that, how Freeze Mage is just really good because while it does fail against some dominant decks in the meta in regular tournaments, in a tournament where you have to bring 6 decks, it's just going to have some favorable matchups.
I definitely agree with that.
Like if it's Freeze Mage, it's going to be favored against like Rogue, probably the Shaman. Depends what type. It might be favored against the Hunter, depending on what version it is. Eloise is probably bringing Handlock, so might be okay there. And then the Freeze Mage Mirror is like a 50-50 anyway.
Well, I have to say, personally, I mean, I don't pay attention to like all the tournaments, but I do cast quite a lot of them. I have not seen anything that's not Mech Shaman win a game in a tournament in probably about half a year. So I'd be surprised if there's anything but that happening from Gara.
I mean, Gara is known as like a mid-range shaman player. At least he was known.
Right,
And-
that's why I mentioned it.
Yeah, exactly.
Because it's possible, but I still have like serious doubts that his team was on board with that decision.
Yeah.
Does Eloise play Freeze Mage or Tempo?
Freeze Mage and Handlocks.
Okay,
Yeah.
so Freeze Mage against Hunter.
Just like going off of what you said, Crib, by the way, like people like really rag on mid-range shaman and about like how no one uses it and it's such a terrible class, but like it's actually like statistically like the worst archetype, or at least the second worst archetype, with it having a 42% win rate in Blackrock Mountain. The only one worse is Ramp Druid, like the no combo Druid.
Okay. Wow, that's like Druid without Druid.
Yeah.
Why bother? All right. So this is a fun match. It's like a race against time for the Hunter, and some very, very tough plays from the Freeze Mage in most of the matchups against it.
Yeah, I feel like it comes down to whether you draw like Mad Scientist early, Boot Hoarder, or like a Frostbolt just to deal with the Juggler. At least from the Freeze Mage's perspective, I think it's more of what the Freeze Mage draws than the Hunter.
Yeah, you can expect the Hunter to like curve out pretty well in this case.
Mhm.
But the one thing that Ekop maybe have going for him is that we did see Dr. Boom in his opening hand. So at least like he has that like one big bomb to play on turn 7 if he eventually draws into that. And Dr. Boom is like one of the best things you can draw against the against Freeze Mage.
Yeah, I'm sure he's running Lotheb as well. I haven't seen a mid-range Hunter without Lotheb ever. ever.
All right. Well, he gets the Mad Scientist on turn 2. He's going to have a good turn 3. You can't hope for too much better from this type of Hunter deck.
Yeah, I actually really like the decision to play the Mad Scientist because, like, if you played the Knife Juggler, it would have just gotten Frostbolted. But this is like, I don't really want to Frostbolt a Mad Scientist, so I'm probably going to like coin Arcane Intellect, and Ecop gets like a free 2 damage and then can just like start chaining off his units. So some people would have played the Knife Juggler there. I don't know.
Makes a lot of sense, especially because if you force the coin Arcane Intellect, you would basically like force the Emperor to have like to come out on turn 6 instead of a potential turn 5.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Uh-oh.
the Emperor is such a strong card, and I think in this
Oh.
Huffer,
Oh.
brutal. You can't even kill that.
Yeah, that's gonna connect for like 8 more damage, I think. The thing is,
At
like,
least.
I guess you play like Acolyte and hope it trades in, or not hopes you can trade in. But is that like a freezing trap? You're never gonna get that.
You can't
Oh
even do
man,
that. I think you have to Arcane Intellect and hope for the best.
Yeah.
maybe you just ping it like a couple times.
Yeah, not only that, but Eloise has 2 ice blocks in her hand. I mean, those are pretty much like the worst cards you want. You need to get them off the Mad Scientist, or like you won't be able to play them ever.
Okay, so we have a verification that is Freeze Trap because it's not playable from Ecop's hand.
Oh yeah. God, so much power on board.
Yeah,
Turn
this
3
might
Arcane
be a
Beast.
this might be a complete.
Oh, that's a good draw.
Here.
All right, so
Oh, the
I guess you
Frostbolt.
can just like Frostbolt, play a Doomsayer, and then he has to waste like 7 damage on it if he doesn't have the silence. Then coin Emperor, and then like you're like feeling okay, even though if it's like terrible Emperor hand. Oh my goodness, you have like nothing.
Yeah, this is the absolute worst Emperor hand that you could even think of. Like Pyroblast, it's not really useful here. Ice Block, not useful. And like the 2 draw cards, okay, I guess, but you really
Yeah, but
want like the active things.
The thing is, like, the Hunter doesn't know that, right? He's still going to waste everything he can into the Emperor.
I actually wouldn't mind Ecop going face here. You're only saving a piloted Sky Golem unless you play the Knife Juggler here. Like, it doesn't make sense to kill this, in my opinion. Because like you're not really developing your board, and the other way you could have pushed 7 more damage and still had like a slightly weaker board. So since he did this, I think he has to play the Juggler. Shoot to shoot, you can only shoot face. What are you talking about?
You know, one thing that Eloise does have going for her is that Ekop's his hand is like not that great right now. Like he isn't getting his 5 drops, his 6 drops, or 7 drops. He doesn't have like anything to close out the game. And Freeze Mage is really good at dealing with just like non-recurring damage. Basically like the just like the bows and basically leopard gnomes and quick shots, for example. But it's really bad at like clearing the board off and like starving off damage that comes every single turn.
Mm-hmm. Quick shot is more that reach damage. That's quite nice for the hunter. What do you do here, though? Do you go for that like juggle off the death rattle from the shredder, perhaps?
It's so like these turns are always really hard because you can go for the 50-50, but if you don't go for the if you don't get the 50-50, it's like really bad. I think he might just go with like quick shot into trade his face into it and then shoot and then go face.
Mm-hmm.
I think going for the juggle is too risky, and you lose board to like a blizzard.
We also have to keep in mind that it's very unlikely he'll actually get to draw from quickshot this game because his freeze trap is probably not going to get procced.
Yeah, that's a good point. From our perspective, though, that like actually leaving this Emperor up isn't like the worst case scenario because all the cards in Eloise's hand are like so terrible.
Exactly, but I mean, if you're E-copy, you're just like, well, what if she has like an Alexstrasza? I don't want to turn 7 Alexstrasza and like free ice blocks or something like that. So it's really safe to kill it unless you can like put up lethal pretty much or set up lethal.
Well, Eloise has another tough turn ahead of her.
Yeah,
you probably want to block. Oh, sorry.
I think she's going to use the Ice Lance defensively, almost for certain.
Yeah, typically in this matchup, you do use it defensively. It's very hard to like stabilize. Like you have so many dead cards in your hand that you don't want to turn your Ice Lance into a dead card as well.
I guess Arcane Intellect draws you the most cards immediately. Like if you act like pink, you're only drawing 1.
Hello.
Okay, goes for that.
Is the acolyte ping?
I think she wants to juggle. Alright.
Well, the thing is, because you ice block, if you arcane intellect, that's 2 draws. If you acolyte, it's still 2 draws.
But it's over the course of time.
It's not, because you still can't play anything else that you would draw, because you only have 1 mana left.
If you arcane intellect, you don't have to ice block though. You could draw a barrier and then ice lance, because you don't want your block to be popped. How close is this? That's 6, 8.
Well,
Yeah, you could go for the you could go. I like. Why did he attack in immediately? He thought it was lethal. I think.
Maybe if you count the damage, maybe like getting a Leok would have changed the math a bit.
You can go for the unleash. Oh no, you can't because you can't shoot if you did that. Huh. Like I don't know. Would you shoot here? Would you just put him to 2 and not pop the block, or would you go for the lethal? With it's only Huffer now.
Now.
I think getting him to 2 is really important. Like the pressure is on.
Yeah, I would say so as well.
Yeah, the problem is if you don't get Huffer though, you can get quite punished by like a Flame Strike perhaps.
Shoot. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, scientist. You're just so far away from doing anything here.
Yeah, it's again like none of the very active cards. Like these would have been great. The Mad Scientist at least would have been great early on, but pretty much everything in this hand is like not something that really affects the board.
Yeah, you can't even like run in your Acolyte because there's a freezing trap up. You need like a Frost Nova, and then next turn you need your block popped, and then you need to play like Heal Bot into Frost Nova or something.
Yeah, just no Frost Nova, no Blizzard even. Not even a Flame Strike. And at this point, like Ice Barrier wouldn't even be that great because you'd have to both play Ice Barrier and Anti-Heal Bot on the same turn pretty much to get it, like to get something to work out. It's really bad for Eloise right now, and just no real options. But
there is Ice Nova.
I don't.
What does the heal accomplish?
I don't like the heal bot here. Well, you have to ice. You have to ice.
Yes. Or not.
So that's lethal on board, but the freezing trap might proc. but that's still a 7 mana anti-heal bot that you can't really play.
Yeah, I don't think you really have to consider like the anti-heal bot being popped right now, but is there a way for Ekop to both pop the block and kill off the heal bot?
I think so. You just unleash and play Animal Companion, but I think it has to be something other than Misha.
Yeah, just something to add a bit of damage on the board.
Yeah. That or get Juggles. Actually, Juggles should be irrelevant.
Yeah, that does do it. And you can even save the bow charge.
Now.
Yeah, it seems pretty good, and now we're seeing like why that like maybe would have been like it almost certainly would have been better to just get the Frost Nova off, right? Last turn.
You don't need the Frost Nova last turn because he's going to pop you anyways with like a shoot or whatever. So you just want to develop a Mad Scientist or draw more cards, and then next turn you play the heal bot into Nova so he can't pop you.
Yeah. All right. Well, yeah, none of this is really going to work anymore. She basically needs to Ice Block and draw Elystraza next turn, right?
Mm-hmm. Set up a Doomsayer maybe, something like that. Fireball. Oh, man. If those Scientists came earlier, the game would have been over. Like, Mad Scientist is so good in Mage. Or in Freeze Mage.
She still has at least 2 draws from the board, plus her from the turn, if she does Ice Block, Loot Hoarder, Thalnos, to try to get Elystraza in order to survive.
Yeah, the problem with Elystraza is even if you do draw it, then the Ekop will be able to develop a board that just kills it, or just kills you without an Ice Block on the field.
Mm-hmm. But that's really your only chance here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So from what we know, Ekop is essentially won the game already.
If he plays High Man this turn.
Yeah.
Actually, how much damage is there? He can, she can stay alive if she draws Elystraza and then Ice Lances the High Man, I think.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Because it's 0. I actually really like Ekop attacking in here because if he just shot her, actually no wait, it doesn't matter because it's it would be Ice Block and she'd be dead. Never mind. But anyways, I was gonna say if she had both secrets up, you want to pop the barrier. That way, if she Alexes back up, she doesn't have barrier and the 15 HP. It's really important to pop both. But in this case, it didn't matter.
Oh wow, I didn't know that. I didn't know Juggles will go to an immune target.
Now.
I haven't seen that before. Do you guys?
Yeah, I think it happens a lot more in Constructed than in Arena, right?
Yeah, it's happened.
I just haven't seen a tournament yet. All right, now I know at least.
Those are
Juggle will
good
still try at an immune target.
So you have to go for more draws here, right?
You're dead
there's
unless
nothing
you
you
run
can
the
do.
second heal bot. And
Yeah.
you can't even play the second heal bot.
Well, this is like
Double
the story.
ice
of-
barrier. Wow.
Exactly, just trying to double ice barrier. Like, Eloise hasn't drawn into any of her blizzards, and she drew the Frost Nova too late. But I think like the biggest part of it was that, like Dog, like you said, she didn't get the Mad Scientist off first, which not only would have gotten secrets into play, but it would have thinned out her deck, and so that she wouldn't draw all the secrets.
Yeah, she drew every secret. And she couldn't play the Mad Scientist because like the freezing trap was up.
Yeah, you
Rough.
really can't do much. I'm curious why she decided to attack. I guess just to see what the trap is, maybe for the future.
Yeah.
Just to know for sure, I guess.
Well, now Ekop's deck is actually like, because she conceded, now Ekop's
Right.
deck is
It
locked.
doesn't even matter. Yeah, it doesn't matter. All right. Well, Cloud9 evens it up through Ecop, 1-1 on the board. The Hunter getting a win and the Groom Patron getting a win. Not too big of a surprise. It seems like most of these teams are kind of leading with the strong decks. That seems to be a running theme. So obviously, some of the strong decks are going to win against the others.
Yeah, exactly. Unfortunately, Eloise took a loss there, and I kind of want to talk about like the dynamic of Team Tempo Storm, because like most teams, like they're all EU, like Liquid and Nihilum, or they're like mostly all NA, like your team, Dog, Team Value Town. But like Some teams are NA and EU, like Team Archon, but Tempo Storm was like the only team that was pretty much all three regions. And I've actually talked to Gara about this, like how it was so difficult for them to practice just because like they had to set a very specific time each night so that all three players could wake up at that time. But now that Eloise, she's actually going to be in California for at least 1 month. I think it just might improve like the team atmosphere and also just improve the practice situation. So that might be something that helps Tempo Storm going forward, even though they're starting off with an 0-2 record.
What kind of practice do you organize as a team for this type of event? I mean, you probably have something to do with that, I'd imagine, Monk.
Yeah, basically like we like consider the lineups together, and there's like a lot of ways that I don't want to reveal too much, but like there's ways that we like figure out the lineup together, and also we try to test the lineups against like other teams that are not in the Archon League, basically. But I know Tempo Storm, like they're like really into they're like actually one of the teams that is trying the hardest in Archon League in terms of practice and in terms of like building their lineups. Whereas on the exact opposite end of the spectrum, I think Cloud9 is probably working out of all the teams, they're probably like working the least closely.
Well, Cloud9, I believe, on the scoreboard is slightly ahead. Right now, at least. Tempo Storm is 0-2. Cloud9 is 1-1. So if Tempo Storm wins this, I think they might actually be like dead even if they win by 1 game, which seems to be the running trend in the Archon Team League so far. But that has to happen. If it doesn't, it's quite the opposite. It really, really sucks to be 0-3, and that is one of the outcomes that could happen for Tempo Storm at the end of the day.
Yeah, you have to feel like at least like one team would go 0-3 at the end of the day. And unfortunately, like I think most teams or most like fans coming into this might argue that Tempo Storm might be the weakest link or the weakest team going into it because they typically don't have players that have too many great accomplishments lately. And also, again, like they're from 3 different regions. They're kind of like I would want to say like a newer team in the sense that Eloise just joined. So they might not have as much synergy. I mean, Dog, you've hung out with, you're actually part of Team Tempo Storm for a while, kind of, in China. How did like that work out, and how was like the practice situation?
Well, we practiced a ton, and we set up a bunch of like, we just like test a lot and then discuss what we should bring because we had to bring every single class to the format because it was just like best of threes, but everyone had to bring, or best of fives, but everyone had to bring 3 classes. It was just, I don't really know. It was just like hanging out with your friends and playing Hearthstone. It seemed like practicing is kind of difficult in this game, I would say. Like you just try to test matchups and that's the best you can do. But most of the time you already know the matchups. So I'm not sure if practicing helps too much per se. Because you already get like information from like previous decks, and you also get information of like what the best deck is because like Reddit, it's like, oh, I hit like rank 1 legend with this deck, and you're like, oh, like that's a really good deck, let me try that out. Like you don't have to do the work anymore. Like you just like take that deck, you test the matchups, you can tweak it a little bit. Tweaking is probably the most important thing in the pro scene, so that's mostly what you do when you test, or at least that's what I do when I test. I like tweak decks to make them a little bit better and give me like more percentages to win.
Well, that's certainly proved to be a pretty good strategy, as your recent tournament success has been quite impressive, Dog. So, yeah, pretty interesting stuff. Just play a lot of ladder with other people's decks. There you go, guys.
Yeah,
you too can be a Hearthstone pro. Yeah, I'm kind of hoping to see Gara come out here. I think Gara came out pretty early on in the matches in the last few weeks in this league, and I'm really eager to see if he does push for an interesting shaman deck. I think it's a bad idea, but I want to see him do it.
I think he's gonna go mid range. He really likes mid range.
Yeah, okay. I agree. Not only that, but like he has Gooby Sinchu as like one of his friends that like gives him all these shaman decks, and like he's supposedly known as like one of the best shaman players in the world. So I think we might be seeing mid range shaman for like the first time in quite a long time. But just like in this series overall, like I really want to root for Tempo Storm because like we said, like I think everyone would argue that like based on skill alone, Cloud9 definitely has the advantage. But again, Tempo Storm is the team that's preparing the most together, and Cloud9 is one of the teams that's preparing the least together. So I really want to see like how preparation can overcome just like overall perceived skill.
Well, perhaps we get to see a little bit of that. We see Eloise coming out again. Wow.
The interesting thing is
This is gonna
in
be
this
cool.
format, you generally don't want to be sending out the same person twice,
Right.
unless you want to throw them a curveball, because if you lose, then 2 of your classes are locked, and then they can have a good matchup. Like they have a better.
They
picking
just statistically
percentage.
have better matchups,
Exactly.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it is a bit of a risk, especially this early on, but it's one risk that we've seen Tempo Storm make as a team repeatedly now. I think they are the most consistent team to like lock out their players early on. I know it happened both weeks, didn't it?
I think so.
Yeah, I think so. Well,
It's a good matchup, though. I think so. As long as Strife Crow doesn't draw, like the main card to draw in this matchup for Strife Crow is Antonidas. If he doesn't get Antonidas, then it's going to be very hard for him because like Doomsayers usually go off for Mirror Entity, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. On the other hand, though, I believe there's like this new Tempo Mage coming out. Oh well, forget that. Oh, okay.
Whoa.
Okay, so this is the infamous Strife Crow quote unquote grinder mage that just like attempts to get as much value out of everything as possible. And I think it can do quite well because this deck has heal bots, and if it can duplicate or echo Medivh heal bots, I think that's like pretty much a win right there, right?
Okay. Well, that mirror entity is going to be terrible.
It's interesting that Eloise didn't keep a Doomsayer, but I guess she was expecting Freeze Mage, maybe.
Yeah, I
Right.
definitely agree. Like that's like
Well,
an instant keep in like I guess
it's-
the Tempo Mage matchup, but it's a little different here.
Isn't it also like a statistics game? Like if it is a freeze mage, and it probably is, you have to go against that. But if it's the other mages, you're favored anyway.
That's true, but I think the reason you're favored is because of the Doomsayer, right?
Okay.
Yeah, I think that because like if you wipe their entire board, like that's a pretty big turning point.
Yeah, and it's so devastating when you play it into a mirror entity, which
Yeah,
is
exactly.
still possible, by the way, in this game because Strife Crow has revealed the one already.
You could go with a mad scientist here. If you're giving him another secret, it's either going to be counterspell, probably. I assume he might be running duplicate, but it's probably going to be like counterspell or a second mirror entity. If it's a second mirror entity, you don't really care because you can just like play Doomsayer later.
Yeah.
So she didn't attack.
She still thinks it's Freeze Mage, and she doesn't want to proc the
What? She
the
just
ice
proc the
barrier.
secret. She just proc the secret.
I-
She's playing
Yeah.
around Battle Rage. She's confused
Oh,
with
okay.
the classes. No. Probably just ended turn too quickly or something. It's not a big deal. It should be Alex anyways.
All right. Well, I wonder what secret came from Strife Crow. I guess you're probably a bit more familiar with this deck, Monk. So you're saying Counterspell is in there?
I have no idea, to be honest.
Okay.
Ooh, it's
Well,
not mirror
cool.
entity.
It's not mirror entity. Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen him just run like so many different types of these decks that like he basically changes the list every single time. And I would have to think like even though he streams this type of deck, he probably changed like quite a few cards from like his last stream.
I would say it's either duplicate. I mean, well, we know it's not mirror entity, so it's probably like duplicate or counterspell. I can't imagine him playing like ice block in this deck. It just doesn't fit the theme of it. Maybe ice barrier, but no.
Wow. Okay. Well, it's not duplicate, and it's obviously not mirror. Oh, I think it's not Counterspell. Yep.
Yep.
Oh, there you go.
That makes
So maybe-
the Drake a very good play.
Yeah, I think this might just be a Tempo Mage with one Echo of Medivh splashed in. That kind of makes sense, right?
Yeah, I would say so.
And if it's that, then I think the Freeze Mage is definitely favored here because it like this kind of deck typically doesn't run heal bots, so Strife Crow can actually Echo of Medivh those.
Ugh, it's like, do you want to give him a loot hoarder? Because you think that's mirror entity. So do you want to give him loot hoarder? Do you want to? I mean, you're not going to test for counterspell here because it's terrible. You usually only want to test for counterspell whenever you have a play that kind of correlates with it. So like, what's she gonna do? Coin, and then if it's not counterspell, it's just like, wow, that's pretty bad. So you definitely don't test for it. You probably just play the loot hoarder, I assume, or pass. I think those are like very reasonable plays.
It's so funny how like the fact that Strifecrow's deck is like somewhat unknown makes it such a problem for her. And this is like a situation that you so rarely encounter in tournaments these days.
I think from Eloise's perspective, this deck is like very well known because she hasn't seen any weird cards so far. I mean, the only weird card in Strifecrow's deck or Strifecrow's hand right now is the Echo of Medivh. Like from Eloise's perspective, this is like 100% just a standard tempo mage.
Well, she knows it's not mirror entity now, which is nice, and like Boom is a pretty big pickup from Strifecrow as well. The Echo, I wonder how much that's going to pay off. I feel like it's not too bad against Freeze Mage, just because usually they freeze your board, but they leave it up, so you can like Echo. That has a pretty big whiff.
Yeah, that was 1 out of 4 you did not want to lose. Well, so, I mean, you guys kept mentioning how Freeze Mage has such a big advantage here. It feels like it's not really winning yet.
Yeah, it's just sometimes you can force off like a mirror entity from the Mad Scientist, and then you can like run a Doomsayer into it, and then you kind of just instantly win right there. And
also,
it happens,
like Flame Strikes clear the entire board.
Strikes. Yeah, it happens like a bit more on ladder because you're like not really sure of what your opponent is running, but I think it's like less likely here, I guess.
Do you think there's some chance Eloise maybe cut Flame Strike? We haven't seen a single copy, and she was down to like 7 cards in the last game.
I actually think that's pretty reasonable to cut a Flame Strike. Nova. Alright. So, I hope she thinks it's Counterspell, because she can use the coin here, and then probably just Frost Nova Doomsayer. Although it gets cleared really easily. Maybe just coin into Blizzard is better. And the next turn you can ping. Nice.
Okay. She's digging the Frost Nova Doomsayer play to deny any tempo.
Yeah. One thing to note is there's this recent tempo mage list that's come out called like a player called Null got rank 1 legend with it, and instead of Archmage Antonidas, it runs Ragnaros. So it's kind of crazy because it runs like 2 arcane missiles too, but it also runs Ragnaros. So that could be like maybe slightly more favored in this matchup.
Yeah, Rag is definitely forced to be reckoned with and against Freeze Mage.
We've seen some really weird stuff from tempo mages. We've even seen Kiltuzad and some.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I think when Blackrock Mountain had like just finished coming out, for like a few weeks, the dominant deck on ladder was tempo mage, and I think one of the variants that was fairly popular was Kiltuzad.
So Strifecrow's opting to play the Mirror Entity here because he just saw the Doomsayer. And he's like, oh, what are the odds she has a second one? She probably would have played it earlier to my first one. So it's pretty good. I mean, he's taking a slight risk, but ultimately his board's just going to die to a Flame Strike eventually anyways.
Yeah.
Well, it's not yet. Right now, the Freeze Mage is still losing. She can spend her whole turn using a Blizzard, but if she does, then she's facing Dr. Boom.
Yeah, Dr. Boom is a pretty big problem. The thing is, do you really put him on having Echo of Medivh? Because if I was in her shoes, I would probably be like, all right, I can like anti-Keelbot, ping this turn, ping the Drake, and then he gets the anti-Keelbot, who cares? And the next turn I can Blizzard and ping the Healbot, right? To set up for a good Blizzard and freeze the board. So that's probably like what I would try to do.
Yeah.
Because like you're not going to get Healbot value later, I don't think.
Yeah. I think it's actually even more key that Eloise wins this game, or rather that Strifecrow wins this game, because now that Echo Medivh is like revealed, that's kind of like one of those cards that like its value gets a lot worse when it's not a surprise anymore. Right?
Yeah, that's true. Losing a game is a lot more detrimental just because like you get to see the cards.
Now, what's the merit to playing Arcane Missiles here?
4 damage to face? Do you need any more merit than that?
Well, it was even better last time, because last turn it was like 6 damage to face.
Yeah.
I bet Hunters want that card.
I think the real winner here is that Echo. If Strifecrow can play
Did
like
he attack with the Drake there?
it was frozen.
Oh, okay, my bad. Sorry, I'm going crazy.
If Strifecrow can get an Echo on Dr. Boom, and I imagine he will, like the only way Dr. Boom is dying is Frostbolt Ice Lance. I mean, is that a reality with Antonitis in hand?
Yeah. And also, even if you know your opponent runs Echo of Medivh, like I don't think you can even do that play.
I think you have to Frostbolt Ice Lance it. You might be able to take 8 this turn and just go with Barrier Ping.
Mm-hmm.
I would still maybe Frostbolt Ice Lance it though.
I mean, do you just expect Echo? Is that why?
No, well, the mage, like the other mage is almost out of threats. I mean, I guess you don't know that, but you're gonna lose if he draws Archmage anyways. So you just want to deal with his board and try to outlast him, because he he's like double Arcane Elect and stuff like that. So I think it's fine, especially like you're gonna draw into another spell, so Archmage is gonna get value eventually, and I think it's fine.
Well, this is gonna be really sad. I'm like, might be being a little sadistic here, but I just want to see Eloise's reaction when Echo
my
Medivh
God.
comes down.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well,
I don't
maybe
know
the
if
play's
Echo's coming
changed.
down. Yeah. So,
Well, no, Strifecrow can lethal.
yeah, it's lethal. Put her to 1. Oh, or less because of the nuts. Or 1.
Good call.
So how much damage is that over, actually? It's not that much over, right?
No. I guess though, if you wanted to Echo, you'd probably Echo first here. So I guess he's just going for it.
Wait, is it lethal? Oh, it's not. That Boombot needed to hit for more than 1. Oh, wow.
Oh.
I didn't even realize that.
So yeah.
Do you even want to copy your Scientist here? Wouldn't you rather just Echo and play the second Thalnos? Oh, I guess you can do that anyways.
Yeah.
Or the Boombot, perhaps.
Yeah, and then next one you can Thalnos Fireball. Okay. Dogs can't count.
All right. Well, we have some Ice Lances.
You have to go for a power play this turn. He's just going to play another Boom or lethal you, I think.
Interesting.
I guess there's no way of telling he has double Fireball in hand either. So maybe the play is just Archmage, Frostball, Ice Lance here.
Yeah, like
It has to be double Ice Lance. You're only on 9 mana right now.
Oh, okay. My bad.
So double Ice Lance is a bit weak because you kind of want an Ice Lance next turn for Dr. Boom as well.
You can just use 1. It's not like terrible. Next turn you can use the second one. But going for the... Okay.
Okay. Well,
What
it's
do you think?
effective on the Mad Scientist if he does draw out another secret.
Yeah. What do you think about that Ice Lance to the Mad Scientist? Because it feels like maybe it would have been slightly more effective on the Boombot, perhaps? Because the Mad Scientist, like, you've seen 3 secrets already, and typically, like, these kind of mages, they only run 3.
That's true. I don't know, if I saw Echo, I'd be like, maybe there's more secrets in there somewhere.
Well, now we've all found out that the Antonitis is not as good as 2 Boombots.
Oh, no, actually, this is slightly awkward.
I think he should have sacrificed
Yeah,
his
exactly.
Thalnos to get it lower, and then play the second Thalnos to kill it. Because you want to put it at you want to
Yeah.
put her at 1, but now
Yeah,
like he's gonna have to put her at 7.
I don't see a way to put her at, like, 1 anymore, exactly. Yeah, Strifecrow realizes it.
Oh, messed up. You can't even lethal her because he played the Nanoworm here. Oh, he's just getting her though. Okay.
Yeah, I've talked to Strifecrow recently about, like, just, like, playing in tournaments, and he's told me that, like, since he went... Oh, my God.
Whoa!
You go for it because you win,
Yeah,
right?
it's just game.
Oh my goodness. That was so important for him to pop the block that turn.
Oh my God,
That
Strifeco's
was
misplay.
like mega punished.
Exactly. Now Strifeco needs to draw like an ice block here.
Well,
just
if he
trade
has
your
one
mad
in his deck,
scientist.
he's gonna get it. But
Yeah.
I have my doubts that it's in there.
Oh man.
You get 2 draws, but what are you gonna get?
Like Strifeco knows Eloise already has 2 fireballs anyway.
You think
Yeah.
there might be a Kazan Mystic in there?
I doubt it. But yeah, like what I was talking about is that like Strifeco, he's been playing so many tournaments lately that he's actually like he's told me that he has tournament fatigue right now. It's just too much for him, and it's just what we see right now, basically. Like I don't think this is a mistake that Strifeco would make normally.
Rocket 1, but what does that actually do?
Well, what can you even draw? Like, that's not it. Like again, this deck probably doesn't run heal bots because it's such an aggressive deck. So after all of that, Eloise just takes the win.
Yeah.
Strifeco, yeah, that he definitely has to be like shaking his head right now. And like this is like you have to go back to your team and be like, hey, I lost, and not only that, but like I almost like could have won 100%.
Yeah. But that, I mean, that Alistraza top deck was so sick. Like there was no other card she could have possibly drawn or done anything with. Really? Oh no, the other ice block maybe, right?
Yeah, ice block
Yeah.
into Emperor or something.
Mm-hmm.
Something like that.
But that wouldn't have made her win the game. And then the thing is, like, if you just ice block, Striker will still pop the second. He'll still pop the second ice
To
block.
be fair, she could have just had it in her hand. Like the top
Yeah.
deck didn't really like. I mean, it did matter, but
Second ice
you know.
block. No, you're right. No, it had to be Alistraza there.
Yeah.
It had to be only Alistraza. And it was.
Basically.
Well,
Tempo's from up
Strifecrow-
2-1.
Yeah, Strifecrow gets really, really, really punished. I mean that
Yeah.
that feels bad, man. I mean that's about as feels bad, man, as it gets. Yeah, pretty big bummer.
The thing is, like, Tempo Strum often goes up in the lead in the, early on against. Like last week, I think against Archon, they were up pretty much, and Gara was like the only one to finish it off. And his like last deck was, he had Face Hunter and Priest. Neither of them could like pick up a match. So like Gara, he's bringing like the 6th deck, which is everyone considers the weakest deck. So we might just be like seeing the repeat once again. Hyped with the Rogue, probably gonna take a win. He's like pretty known with Rogue. Eloise with 2 strong decks as well, Handlock and Freeze Mage. But Gara once again with that Hunter that might not do as well, and that 6th deck, that awful 6th deck.
I wonder who they're
Yeah.
going to send in now. I would assume they send in Gara. But
So Strifecrow's 0-2 right now in this one. Each of his decks has failed to produce a win, and that's some nice info Tempo Storm has. Tempo Storm still has quite a lot of flexibility. I feel like one dynamic that we really haven't talked about is just having every player in the game still. It kind of plays around with the bench mechanic a little bit. So like if Gara picks up a win, if one player gets benched when each player only has one deck, it's not as relevant.
yeah,
Makes a lot of sense.
Rogue versus Warlock. I'm assuming it's Zoo. Does Ecop play anything other than Zoo?
He does. He plays Malagos a lot. In the Hearthstone Pro League that you're a
Right.
part of, Dog.
Oh yeah, HPL. Okay. Anyways, I think Rogue's favored against Zoo and Malilok. I think both are like very, very.
You think Rogue is favored against Malagos Lock?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think most people agree with that, but just like statistically, it's been 4-2 in favor of Malagos Lock. So
Really?
I mean, that's like a low sample size, but
Variance, it's okay.
Yeah.
Just chalk
but-
it up to that.
mid-range Zoo or just like Zoo against Oil Rose is exactly 50-50 statistically, being a 14-14 record.
I would say it. Do you have statistics on coins? Like-
No, I don't have that.
Oh, that would be so good. You need coin statistics because I think Rogue is super favored if they have coin. Like,
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
yeah.
In this instance, I believe the Rogue has the coin. Is there
Mhm.
2 cards missing from
Yeah.
from Ecop, or is
Exactly.
there one? It's like
It
a
looks
split.
It looks like the spacing that by the spacing it looks
one.
like there's 2
I
cards.
think.
Yeah.
Oh, it
there's
is two.
coin. Wow, I
Oh,
thought
yeah,
that was one
okay.
card.
I thought it was 1 card as well.
hmm
Okay. Well, Hyped is. I mean, he started
He's
off as
well
a rogue
equipped.
player, and he's still a rogue player, so he knows how this works.
Oh,
I mean,
I
he's-
expect nothing but the best.
He has like the next best thing after having the coin, and this is gonna like trade perfectly. This is like the dream. Backstab
think-
SI into double knife juggler.
Yeah, I think he's not gonna play the backstab this turn. I think he's just gonna dagger up
Yeah.
and the next turn backstab SI. The only way you get punished by that is like an egg or a creeper, but creeper you can even punch into one of the units, so it's not terrible. Ecop actually has Void Collar. Void Collar is like the most important card in this matchup because it's really hard for Rogue to deal with. I mean, usually you try to kill Void Collar and sap whatever comes out, but sometimes you just can't. And I mean, if Ecop draws like a Doom Guard in the next 3 or 4 turns or a Mal'Ganis, it's going to be kind of hard.
Yeah. Well, what do you think Hype is thinking about here?
Just whether or not he wants to backstab. If he wants to save
It doesn't seem worth it though, because I mean, you're based against Zoo. You're forced to play out your creatures. So he is playing SI7 no matter what next turn, right?
It feels like Ekop is saying sorry, but
that is
he's
a
gonna
good
be the
draw.
one saying sorry later. The thing is, like, just if you think about the risk versus reward, like the risk is like not too low. Like
Yeah,
you
it's like
basically
3
just take
damage,
4,
right?
yeah, 3 or 4 extra damage. Whereas like this is like almost a blowout turn this early in the game.
Got him.
You don't even need the backstab really here. You can
should.
just Deadly Poison. Doesn't Deadly Poison provide a higher tempo play?
No, you put a unit on the board this way. If you play Deadly Poison, then you don't have a unit.
Oh, right.
Yeah, next turn you can play Teacher into prep Deadly, and then just
Yeah.
kill off the Void Terror. If you got plays the Void Terror, I think that's going to be the play.
Okay. He's got Power Overwhelm here.
Yeah,
It would be nice if he had some board left, but he doesn't.
yeah.
And it looks
Zoo,
like a sad Void Terror play here.
yeah. You have to remember that like Zoo, they don't have like any good way of dealing with a Violet Teacher from an empty board. Like Implosion's the best you've got, and then like that still doesn't do it.
Oh man, Ecop's just hoping Hype doesn't have a 4-drop here, but he has one of the best ones.
Yeah, Ecop's mid game is really going to have to carry him here,
Yeah.
but I still don't think it's enough.
I feel like that tap play was mostly to maximize the chance he gets like one of the really good demons, right?
Well, if
Does
this Void Caller sticks on the board, Ecop has a play here with a double Power Overwhelm Void Terror.
I wonder if Hype's just going to go like Deadly into Tink's Oil and face. No. I guess you only do that play if you have the Flurry, but I like putting a lot of pressure on Zoo sometimes.
Mm-hmm. You think we're going to see it? Double Power Overwhelm Void Terror?
I like it.
Yeah.
I mean, if the Rogue had Sap, I think sapping the Void Caller here is one of the
won the
better
game.
plays.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess the one thing I don't like about it is that you don't get like 2 huge creatures on the board. So like if he did have a sap, you would just lose the game. Whereas if you had like a Mal'Ganis plus a huge Void Terror, they can only sap one of them.
I kind of would like to see like the prep come out. I guess like getting the Drake gives more power, but you kind of want to abuse the 1/1s. I feel like, and there's okay. So he's just trying to get the 1/1s. I don't mind this.
Okay.
It was like an implosion hit for 2.
Okay. That seems balanced. Oh, yeah.
Do it. Actually, is it no? Okay.
Well,
Do you play the
do-
Voidwalker? You play the Voidwalker, right? That way you don't get the Voidwalker out, and you get the M Gang boss. So PO into Voidwalker into Terror, or is that
No,
not enough
I think,
damage?
I think right now you're screwed. So I think you do double PO, Void Terror, and hope to top deck Doomguard.
Do you go face?
Yeah. Well, how
Oh,
else do you
goodness.
win?
Exactly. Yeah, that makes sense. Oh man, he's going for the. I think he's gonna go for the trade play.
Okay.
I actually like your play a lot more, though. I really do. I think that's the way you win.
What does Hype's hand have to be so that like he can't deal with this board. Like if, let's say, if Ekop goes for phase here, like how does Hype brick that much?
I mean,
Well,
he
he
has
doesn't
to
have
set up for
stat
lethal.
Yeah.
Well, Ecop has to set up for lethal this turn. Otherwise, Hype's just going to go deadly, oil and attack phase, and then the game's in a good position.
Thing is, like a 10-5 isn't even that scary.
Harrison.
Yeah, it's just 5. A measly 5. I like deadly tinker and then the last deadly. You increase your chance you hit something that has the ability to attack this
So
turn.
he's going to go for it. Is that
Alright.
not lethal, is it? I mean, like, so it's 8
No.
plus 8? No.
It's a lot, but it's not lethal.
So you could just go face.
No, I think you kill the 10-5.
I mean, you could go for that. Yeah, I mean, I don't see how you lose either way. I
Yeah,
don't
exactly.
think Ecop's going to get like that much damage.
Maybe like if you kill the 10-5, it plays around like really fringe things like power overwhelming, Soulfire Doomguard. I don't know, something crazy like that.
Yeah, just go face.
Wow.
I mean, he used 1 PO. There's no way he gets more damage unless it's like Archangel. I don't even know.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, had he powerbomb last turn, he would have pushed for another 8. Doomguard would have been 1 off lethal.
So many possibilities.
Yeah. I mean, Hype just backstab aside on 3, 2 knife
Double
jugglers,
knife
and that was that was pretty detrimental. And then like Ecop had a tap on 3, so
I mean, it's just karma, right? Because Ekop was the one that was
Many
kind of emoting on turn 2. He's like, "Ha, you don't have a
I know.
backstab."
I would really like Hype to do some emotes.
Yeah, exactly. Especially on turn 3.
Dang. Up 3-1, that's gotta feel good.
we did see the emote at the end from Hyped. He knows what's up.
All right.
Yes.
Well,
Hype's
3
done,
points
right?
to Tempest Storm is pretty good. Is Hype done?
Hype's done. He played Patron and he played.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. It's
check
gonna
it.
be on Gara again, man. Not like they just stick Gara like at the end with the weird decks. Is that a good idea? You think?
I think just throwing in it just depends. You want to send your most favorable matchups in first, generally, unless you can like surprise them. There's like a little bit of mind game going on, but I feel like a lot of people just kind of like randomly throw things in with a little bit of strategy thrown in, like, oh hey, we shouldn't send in the same person twice because we might get benched or something, and we don't want that.
Yeah.
So
Also, Gara's like pretty much been known for like playing weird decks throughout his entire career. Like he's played Shaman so much. In the first tournament that he won, the first DreamHack, he played Ramp Druid and like
pure ramp.
Druid with like Sunwalkers, Ancient
Just
Sunwar.
taunts.
Exactly,
Yeah,
exactly.
And it was at a time where everyone was playing Zoo, so it worked. There
Yeah,
was
okay.
not enough silences, basically.
Apparently, and like even in the NEL league that you played, Dog, with Tempo Storm, he like pretty much was known for playing like Priest and Shaman all the time.
yeah, pretty
So much so that like the Chinese players were telling me that like you guys were too predictable in that sense.
Yeah, I didn't really want to play those classes, so we just gave everything to him. We're just like, yeah, Gara. I mean, your name's Gara, best Shaman. You better be playing Shaman. So
Well, he does play his decks really well, and it's pretty hard too because you get like to advance in your ability to play a deck when you see how other people play it, when you know the matchups, when you understand how it should work. But when you play the strange stuff and you play it well, I feel like it's first you need to make a successful deck that's different, but then you also need to take a lot of time to actually figure out how it works among the other decks.
Yeah, okay. So if it's mid-range Shaman, I actually think all 5 remaining of these, like all of these classes, are like really good against mid-range Shaman, right? Like
is Tempo
Paladin.
Mage good against mid range?
Oh yeah, Tempo Mage. I forgot it was.
I'd like never play Tempo Mage.
Yeah, I forgot it was Tempo Mage and not Freeze Mage. But
It's
I guess
still-
that's like the
It's
question
still
mark.
fine, I think.
I think it's fine. Also,
Yeah.
I don't know.
I actually think the slow paladin deck is countered by the slow shaman deck in general, because you just don't trade very well into the creatures that the shaman plays.
Does Strifeco run musters?
Oh,
We
definitely.
didn't
Yeah.
we didn't see any.
We
but
didn't see
probably-
any, but yeah, I would assume so. I mean, muster is just like such a detrimental card for like shaman.
Yeah. I guess
Because,
like
the weapons really.
I feel
important.
that's the matchup that he needs, not the mage. Like tempo mage can just totally wreck you because your
Yeah.
deck's slow. If they get like a good draw at the start, there's no coming back.
Yeah, the other side is that like Shaman doesn't really have a good way of dealing with Muster, especially like Muster Quartermaster. Like Shaman doesn't have a good way of dealing with
Oh, almost.
ones.
It almost happened, Paladin versus Shaman, but it is the Hunter of Gara against the Paladin versus Strifecrow, which
I love the
seems
Panther
like
issue.
Gara's gonna lose here. I mean, we're playing like a slow, healy Paladin deck versus Face Hunter, probably.
If it's mid range, I think Gara's favored. Actually, I think Hunter's favored in this matchup. I would say it just depends if you like Tekken Zombie Chows, if you get the muster early or the shielded mini bot. I think a lot of it comes down to like if you play Zombie Chow. Ooh, it's pure face.
Yeah, he played this last week and I believe the week before as well. So that makes a lot of sense. So stats wise in this matchup, it's 60% for the Face Hunter with the record being 9 and 6.
Okay. No, I thought it was actually closer to the Paladin, but I guess I'm more used to seeing like more heals and taunts and Paladin decks that probably don't exist in Strifecrows here.
Yeah, one thing Strifecrow does have going for him is that compared to the standard list of Paladin, or the mid-range Paladin, the standard list runs one Blessing of Kings, and Strifecrow, instead of the Blessing of Kings, he runs Defender of Argus. So that should help him quite a bit.
That does help. I'm sure it does.
I play a lot of just mid-rangey type of fun Paladin decks, and generally what I see is if I get off like one taunt and one heal, I'm just gonna win.
Yeah.
But it looks like he's not doing anything
That
with that
hand is
hand.
very, very, very
Yeah.
bad.
Yeah.
Crip, I think Strifecrow runs Muster for battle.
You think so? Well, it's quite possible. All right. So we see the Haunted Creeper being coined out to follow up with the Glaive Suka against the Knife Juggler of Strifecrow. Strifecrow's going to get punished pretty hard here.
Yeah, I think Gara played the creeper to try to deal with a mini bot or something. But Mad Scientist kind of gets punished by it.
All right. The Acolyte seems fine, but it seems like generally, if you're the Paladin here, you know you're probably going to be a little behind, but being behind that extra little bit is like a big problem.
It's a pretty intimidating board.
Yeah. He might even think of going face, but I kind of like trading.
I mean, the thing is, you don't know the Paladin's hand, so you could think it's like really good, and hit more cards isn't going to matter. But we can see Strifecrow's hand is like pretty bad, so trading is the better play, but it's not always so obvious. Trading.
You know, trading. I mean, United play is really great against Consecrate. So
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. I feel like this is one of those matchups where you talk a lot about like, ooh, that's pretty good, but you talk a lot about like the Fiery War Axe being like a win or lose card against Zoo, and it feels like the Shielded Minibot and the Muster for Battle are like the exact same thing for Paladin against Face Hunter, because otherwise like Paladin has no way of contesting the board with just like simple hero powers and acolytes.
yeah. I mean, that's what the Paladin has to have. Striker also has the Zombie Chows, which I think kind of buffer that a little bit. I think often, especially if you go first, the Zombie Chow can substitute for a shielded mini-bot. But getting none, it's not going to work.
I really like the freezing trap here. Like, sure you're using it on a 2-drop, but that 2-drop's going to clear your board if you don't.
Gara kind of shaking his head right now. Like, I think
He's
he's probably
scared.
going to.
He's scared of like Consecrate, I think.
It would have happened last turn. I don't see why. Like, if Consecrate was happening, it would have hit him last turn. and that's the end.
Well, there's some merit to like whenever you have Consecrate in hand, you play the mini bot in the unit first. That way they play into Consecrate. That way you can like pop the creeper early and stuff. You're only taking a few more damage, but I guess you're right. He probably would have consecrated last turn regardless.
Yeah, that's an interesting point, and I think you do see that in matches that are pretty close. But I think in this match, I don't know if you can really afford to take like an extra 6, let's say. I think that might just be too much.
It's kind of interesting that Gara is running Lotheb in this deck, and I think this is because I believe this deck is the Game King deck. I don't know if you guys have heard of it, but it's basically Phase Hunter with 2 piloted shredders and Lotheb, and it's like famous because Game King like finished ranked number 1 legend with the deck, so it has to be like somewhat good. I also believe okay, so Gara actually recently was at a tournament with Game King on his team. It was like one of the French tournaments. But like since Tempo Storm doesn't have 3 EU players, they brought Game King along.
Why does he keep like targeting that? It's just going face. It's weird.
Not this way, this way.
Exactly.
It's like, is that face? No. Points to face? Yes.
It's a bot. I bet you can make a bot like Hunter really easily. Like Shaman seemed kind of hard to make a bot of. Why not just do face Hunter?
Yeah. I guess. I kind of miss playing against the Sea Giant Shaman. This is a pretty good deck.
It was. There's free wins on ladder though if you like had 1 BGH or 2 BGHs tucked in. It's just like, oh, I'm gonna go farm some bots today.
Yeah.
Alright,
Well,
so
Striker picks up the True Silver. But like, no Consecrate means like bad news, so I mean,
a
I don't
double
know.
Quartermaster is just like, ugh, not very good. I think an Aldor is probably gonna come down here.
Yeah.
I think he's gonna try to get the heal bot back in a bit, like next turn.
Yeah, I guess.
I don't think it's gonna work though. Whoa, snakes.
Well, the Snake Trap probably guarantees the freeze,
Oh, man.
which is probably a pretty decent draw now, actually.
That's actually, well... You can bluff the trap really easily.
I think
Like, you could just leave the Aldor up, and then you can Snake Trap, and he'll think it's freezing or something. And then you can play Creeper and shoot. But that forces you to pop your Creeper, so it's kind of weird.
It seems like a pretty good Unleash turn as well. Just like getting it out there.
I think
Making sure...
you can pretty frequently get 3, though. So I don't know. I don't think he has to. Let's go for it.
Yeah, it seems fair enough. You just like clear off as much as possible. You pretty much know your opponent doesn't have Consecrate, so you can commit to the board as much as you want. Although he seems to be hedging with the Worgen Infiltrator.
Yeah, I think
I'll
you
win.
play it. I like it. Killing it off even. Oh, he doesn't have... Oh, he only runs 2 secrets? What?
So he only has 1
Snake
freezing and 1
freezing.
snake.
Yeah.
That's interesting. I think Strifegrow right now, he like kind of breathes a sigh of
Striker's
relief
really
here.
confused. It's like, what?
Does he have 2 secrets in hand? Maybe 1? But I think this might actually be beneficial to Gara. And like, it sounds bad, but like, he's going to play the Snake Trap, and Striker is like 100% going to think it's freezing.
Yeah, exactly.
At least I would. In a heartbeat, just be like, oh, it's freezing. Whatever.
Yeah, pretty much no one runs 1 freezing and 1 snake trap.
No, it's so confusing.
And that's like kind of like a Gara touch.
Yeah. I've seen 1 snake, 1 explosive when like everyone was playing Face Hunter.
Okay. I've actually never seen that. I've seen like 2 explosive, 1 snake before.
I saw that on ladder the other day. Some guy ran explosive and snake.
Yeah.
It was the strangest thing. I like attacked face and like explosive went off, and my minion didn't come back. I was just like, wait a second.
So this is actually pretty interesting because we were talking about like how Strifegrow's opening was like so terrible, but now it doesn't seem so bad. Like there's not that much damage coming from Gara, and he has to get past this taunt, which he can't. Plus, Strifegrow, he has a Defender of Argus in his hand as well.
Might just like Arcane Golem it, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, but like, you're right. But Strifecrow is really, really far from winning right now.
That Argus is going to do a lot of work.
I
Yeah,
mean-
I agree.
I kind of mentioned how like it's pretty often that the paladin ends up coming back in this game.
I think Sean, you play Muster, you play Quartermaster, next turn you play Argus. So he's acting like it's Freezing Trap. He's bluffing it.
All right. Well, I guess I missed some stuff there.
Yeah, not too much. Just the board was cleared, and now Stripe's turn to act. No heals, and there's not really a good way to like taunt up multiple minions right now.
I think we're actually
Yeah.
gonna see like a True Silver Owl or something into maybe a unit.
That's gonna get punished a lot because of the snake trap.
He doesn't know it's Snake. Like
Yeah, exactly.
that's
Right.
just runs double quick shot as well. That could help a ton in these situations. Like he drew a Leper Gnome, that's a one drop. Sure, it's like an arcane shot, but
I think the original list, the Game King list, runs double quick shot, and I was thinking like he might have cut like a quick shot to fit in a third trap, which is the snake trap, which wasn't in the original list. But now that we know that there's only 2 traps in the list, it seems like the rest of the list is exactly the same.
and this Snakes is gonna get like pretty good value. It's like 3 damage pretty much because
Yeah.
there's no
One thing I
consequence.
haven't seen is like the quick shot dream. I haven't seen quick shot into kill command before.
Oh my
I really want to.
I'd be so tilted.
Yeah, it actually kind of happened with Life Coach, I believe, in the Star Ladder, in Vulcan like 2 days ago, where he got like quick shot into something, and then the next turn he drew quick shot as well into like kill command or something. So it was like a pseudo dream right there.
Okay.
I must move quickly.
All right.
Just waiting to see Nightblade and Hunter.
Yeah,
Oh,
It's.
man.
I mean, this whole match is about healing, and if Striker doesn't have it, he's not going to win.
It's true.
I mean the True Silver is kind of like healing.
Is he going face? Oh dang! Putting on the pressure.
I think that's
to.
yeah,
I
that
will
makes
see
a lot
win.
of sense.
I like it.
Juggler
So you can,
boys.
you can pop your spider.
Decent.
That's a good
Great.
juggle.
Yeah, it's really good.
Is there any merit to killing off the 2-1? You just mark them.
You're starting to get a little low, but I think you still have to smart it up here.
Yeah.
I think you could consider clearing off the Knife Juggler because you have to think if you leave that alive, then probably like 1 or 2 of your 1/1s will die just because of it.
Yeah,
Right.
but
Yeah,
But you
but
miss damage on
might be
fates.
1 turn ahead
yeah.
just because of that 2 extra damage.
I mean,
And that's
you
a
know
really
he doesn't.
big deal.
You know he doesn't have a muster because he would have played it last turn with the juggler. And you know he doesn't have a consecrate either. So I think you just like start smoking it up.
Yep. I like it. Face is the place.
So
Taste my skill.
the one problem with the Game King Hunter is that even though like the density of draws is slightly higher because of the pilot shutters and Lothebs, that means that Gara will more likely than not like he's more likely to draw dead next turn to like not finish off the game because of those like 2 pilot shutters that are in addition to that deck compared to like normal face hunters.
That's true. Maybe he just cut the piloted shredders in total. Who knows? Okay.
Well, if he gets it here, he'll be at 8. He does
Wow.
get it.
So do you trade into those? Or
Yeah.
like do you want to try to set up for
One
lethal
extra
and just
turn.
hope he bricks?
Nope. 1 extra turn.
So he sets up lethal. Does that 1 damage matter?
Check for unleash. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So yeah, he's dead to unleash if he doesn't kill it. But does he set up for lethal? Let's see, he has 5 plus.
He also loses to more quick shot
Uh,
combinations if he
I
gets
think
like
he's
quick shot and
dead,
an
yeah.
owl.
Oh, no.
my goodness.
Gara, never lucky.
Never lucky.
Yeah, so it's the same thing yet again. Just I guess like in the end the quartermasters were useful.
Sure.
I mean, if it was a muster, the game would have been over a while ago.
Yeah, it's actually exact lethal. Wow.
All calculated.
Yeah. Pretty good stuff.
So that's gotta be like soul wrenching for Gara. Like again,
Yeah.
he seems to be like the weak link in Tempo Storm, and it's like not to any fault of him because I guess he's like running the weaker decks. But again, it was his choice to run Face Hunter, which most people would say is like the weaker Hunter deck right now compared to like hybrid or mid range.
Gara came into today's matches with a record of 2-7, so it was just slightly worse than, or slightly better than Saviz, who was 2-8. But I believe Saviz went 2-0 today, and Gara didn't start so well. So, yeah. They definitely seem to be the players that are struggling to pull wins, but also the players who are struggling to pull wins with the sixth deck, as we have been referring.
Exactly. And like, just like to top it all off, like it always seems to be that sixth deck, and I think the only instance where it wasn't that sixth deck was in Liquid versus Nalum before with Patron Warrior. It's always been like aggro Paladin, mid-range Paladin, or Druid, Priest. Those are like the 4 type of decks that have been just like bricking all the time.
Also, this Face Hunter has been breaking all the time.
Yeah.
Face Hunter's beat nothing in this entire tournament so far.
I think like the rationale of bringing Face Hunter was that like other people would bring mid-range Hunter and like Handlock, I guess, and like Patron Warrior or just Warrior wouldn't be as common. But like just like stats wise, mid-range Hunter and hybrid Hunter just straight up win a lot more than Face Hunter.
I think hybrid is just like way too good. It's just so much better than Face, in my opinion, because you can still just win any matchup because you're running double freezing, and so like against Rogue you win, against Tempo Mage you can still win. Whereas Face, like, you could lose really easily to those matchups, and you don't put on the pressure unless you like get a perfect curve. I guess I don't know. I feel like hybrid's a lot more forgiving.
To be fair though, Gara's version of Face Hunter is essentially like hybrid Hunter but without high mains.
That's true. That's
like how you could think about it. And instead of high mains, you have 2 Worgen infiltrators. And that's pretty much exactly what it is. Is that better though? Like
I'm not sure. He must have thought it was, and maybe it is. Maybe that was just like a bad.
Is perhaps about to get benched.
Do you have to play around the benching issue that much? I don't think you do. Not when there's one deck left. I mean, I guess you're squared on one deck, but I don't think it's as important whenever there's only one deck left.
All right. Well, it is Kolento versus Gara. Both these players last week were the 2 that really struggled to pull it through. Yeah. Grim Patron versus the Face Hunter. I think the Grim Patron has a pretty nice advantage here, especially going second with a Fiery War Axe.
Yeah, you would think so, but like actually in stats wise, Face Hunter is actually favored 9-6 with a 60% win rate against Patron Warrior. So it's maybe like a little counterintuitive, and basically I think what it comes down to is that sometimes Patron Warrior just like doesn't draw well early on, and the Face Hunter can just like still get that advantage. And the problem with typical Patron Warriors is that it doesn't have like too many great comeback mechanics against the Face Hunters. Like they don't have shield blocks or shield maidens.
Did Kolento mulligan away that Dustbite?
Yes.
What do you think about that? I personally really like Dustbite against Hunter because you can kill like their animal companion. You can just coin into it. Yeah. And I don't know. It feels good, and then you can like play Patron on 5, or you can just like play anything on 5, and you should be fine. But it's interesting he threw it away.
My guess would just probably be that he's looking more towards like the unstable ghouls or the armor smiths. And if he gets that, he has like a great turn 1 into turn 2 play no matter what. Just thinking more about like the first few turns, and like that's exactly what I said. Like basically like the first few turns are where you lose, and not like around turn 4 or 5.
What do you think Gara was doing there? Was that just an infuriating turn 1 play something rope BM?
Gotta get his head in the game. Doesn't want to lose.
I mean, whenever I see that happen against me, I just lose my mind sometimes.
Yeah, I get mad. I'm just like, okay, like you played your turn, just like let me play mine.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Well, Kolento looks not impressed, so maybe that does have an effect.
Yeah. It's like exactly the same situation that we were kind of referring to in that. Oh wow, that's a great top deck.
Great draw, yeah.
Yeah, so Kolento, if he actually kept his Death Spite, he wouldn't have gotten that card. So like in the end, the decision turned out to be correct. Like you kind of just want to curve out well, I guess.
Yeah, but
and now,
you get it next turn also. Like it's not terrible, and you can armor up this turn.
Misha.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, Misha does challenge. That's.
Do you
pretty
draw here?
decent.
Do you just whirlwind and battle rage and hope he doesn't have a weapon?
Yeah, it looks pretty good.
You could also go with the War Song Commander, but that's terrible because you don't have anything, so disregard that.
I mean, I didn't see it right off the bat like you did, but it absolutely seems like the best outcome with the Whirlwind Battle Rage. It is a bit of a risky play, but I mean, isn't this much more of a risky play?
Yeah, and besides,
I
you could
think
execute
it's
it the
wrath.
turn after. I like playing the War Song here a lot. Forces him to deal with it.
yeah, not really a great way to deal with it either.
Ooh, and he's like setting up for a whirlwind next turn. That's fine. War Song.
Okay. Well, it's going to be pretty back and forth here for the next few rounds.
Just whirlwind play your War Song, or do you want to use the execute here?
I think a creature is more valuable than execute against Face Hunter.
So just whirlwind execute armor.
Yeah, or even Battle Rage.
Okay.
You maybe consider that because this is not like typical Face Hunter, maybe you want to save the executes for like that one Lotheb or maybe even the piloted Shredder. Although, like, just thinking about that, that feels really bad.
We also haven't seen that piloted Shredder at all yet.
That's true.
So far, that's
Huh.
just imaginary.
I think you just play the abusive here. Get the body on board.
No, he wants to maximize hero power, I think.
Well, you can still play the abusive,
Oh, I see.
but I guess it doesn't matter.
Yeah, that would have
I mean,
sucked.
I don't know. Yeah, it would have
Protass left the top. Protass would have dealt with both creatures with the charge. Now it turns out to be a much better play.
Do you really want a Cruel Taskmaster that?
Apparently,
I guess so.
are you willing to go against Kalento?
Go toe to toe.
On the record,
Oh man.
okay, good sequencing. Almost slipped up there. You have to play the Gladezuka first to guarantee the buff on the Arcane Golem.
It's looking
Yeah.
really good for Gara now.
Exactly.
Yep.
Lando needs to top deck something amazing.
That's a pretty good draw though.
Yeah, it is. That and like Grim Patron's good enough.
Yep. And you know it's Snake Trap. The issue is you've used both War Songs, so there's no card that really helps you that much aside from a second Whirlwind or Unstable.
Yeah, but still, like, there's no really armor gain in
Oh.
Kalento's deck that helps him that much.
Can you play that?
Why not?
because you're just gonna spawn a bunch of patrons, right?
But does it matter? Because
That's
even
F5.
even if you spawn a bunch
He's
of
Armor
patrons,
Smith. Armor Smith has to happen
Yeah.
right now. Oh
Yeah.
If
my!
you just play Acolyte, you run in that into there.
Yeah,
Okay, do the
yeah.
patrons spawn in between the juggles or only after the juggles?
that's a good question.
Me.
This
Patron
like situation is
spawns
so
in
rare.
between the juggles. In between.
Well, then you want to attack the 3/2, right? Instead of the 2/1.
Yeah, I see
one
what you mean.
face.
Okay,
You
so
wanna act
because you
like-
get a whirlwind if you
Oh,
attack
that
them with
just
3/2.
sucks.
So they do spawn in between. Yeah.
Oh, Gar is so relieved right now.
Yeah.
Well, I have a feeling that's Gara's first win in like 5 tries or something. So
No,
I
I think
think
it's
any
his-
of us would be really relieved there.
no, it's his first win in something like 6 games or 7 games even.
You think
I'm
it's
just
more
curious.
than 5? Wow.
I'm just curious how like the shaman's gonna do. That's
Yeah,
gonna be the
just-
like most difficult deck to win with. I
Well,
feel like.
We're gonna have to see pretty soon as Tempo Storm is up 4 points to Cloud9's 2. I mean, it looks like a pretty good record for Tempo Storm, but we have to win with Shaman. The Warlock's probably gonna find a way to win though. Eloise is probably playing Handlock. I don't think it was revealed today, was it?
It was not, but Eloise is in the Chinese scene. She's very known for playing Handlock, and she played it last week, I believe.
Right.
So it makes a lot of sense.
I mean, Handlock can beat up some deck that draws badly. It's fine. But the Shaman, though, I really feel the only good matchup the Shaman had was Strife Crow's Paladin, which has already won.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
It's actually interesting, like that they brought Shaman because Cloud9 is not known for bringing Druid, and you have to think like if they bring Druid, it's like one of Shaman's like only best matchups.
I
It's
think
also good
Shaman's
against the Control Warrior, but that's like out now.
I think it could beat maybe the Mage. The rest is going to be really hard.
Yeah.
Really, really hard.
Yeah, Rogue's like a counter, Patron's like a counter. Zoo is pretty bad, but
Zoo's pretty favored against it, but it can still like win.
Yeah,
it could be Mech Shaman for all we know. Like
yeah.
we haven't seen it yet.
Yeah.
It's just you guys really seem to think it's mid-range, and I don't think it's mid-range, but I want it to be mid-range. So I'm hopeful. I'm hoping you guys are right here. For entertainment's sake, not one-sided towards any team, of course. I'm not biased here.
It's one of my favorite decks, and I know, Dog, like it's one of your favorite decks. You keep trying to make it work, and I don't know how successful you've been, but I'm sure you like to watch it in action as well.
Yeah, for sure.
Have you tried with Molten Giants? Because you're always losing.
That's such a bad philosophy. That's like that's the same philosophy as like priests are running. Like it's kind of the same philosophy as when like priests run Thought Steal because like all the other cards are better.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Well, we'll see.
Yeah.
Is there really much strategy going on at this point, though? I think when you're on two decks, you just throw whatever you want out there, right?
I think you just play whichever deck is best because you're gonna need to win with the last deck anyways, and yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, for example, if like one deck is like favored against all the other four, and one deck is unfavored against all the other four, you probably want to play like your better deck just so you can so you can like squeeze a win out. Because again, like the game differential does matter in the end.
Yeah, and what if there's variance on that one bad deck? I mean, on the good deck, and then like you lose that favored matchup, and you only really gave it one chance because you took so many wins with the other one. But I guess it doesn't really matter. I don't know. I'd say you go for the more favored matchup, but that's just me.
Okay.
And
So-
you'd have to think that's Handlock. Like you probably just want to bring Handlock here.
So if we see Handlock, we'll probably see Kalento bringing out Rogue. But if Kalento...
Tempo Mage, probably.
Oh, you think so?
I would say Tempo Mage is pretty favored against Handlock.
But Strifecrow has a few cards that are not normally in Tempo Mage that slow it down a little bit more.
That's true.
Which
Echo
is
might
kind
be
of
a
a
little
big
worse.
problem.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're really playing off that speed at the start.
Yeah. Also, in Blackrock Mountain, the mid-range Zoo actually statistically favors Handlock, even though like a vast majority of players would say otherwise. It's like actually extremely favored, like 17 to 10, which is 63%. It might have to do with like maybe the Ape Gang bosses surviving Hellfires or I don't know, something.
Okay, well, it is Warlock.
Peacock's staring into my soul.
Well, so is Eloise.
That one's a little nicer.
Yeah. Apparently, those are supposed to be cat ears, but I'm still
Keep
going with rabbits.
Wait, that's not
Whoa.
Eloise.
Yeah, it is.
Whoa. Well, she always jokes that she's Magic Amy, so I guess we see where that's coming from. Oh, there we go.
Okay, we have the correct camera. I mean player. Alright, here we go. Decent from Ecop, I guess. You obviously throw out the Dr. Boom, but do you keep the Void Walker? It feels like it doesn't matter if you have a 1-drop if it only does 1 damage.
You
Don't
don't know
want
if
2
it's
damage 1-drop?
Well, you don't know if it's Zoo or Handlock, do you?
You don't.
Ecop, yeah.
So for
This
for
is
each of-
Eloise.
Yeah. Well, I
Oh,
don't
this
know.
is
if it's-
Eloise.
Oh, this
Oh,
is
it does
Eloise's
look like
hand?
it's Eloise.
Okay, yeah, because you keep the Void Walker if you're unsure or if you know it's Zoo, but if you do know, that's different.
Okay, so it's actually going to be a Zoomer. Is the Voidwalker even that good against Zoo? Because you don't have an Abusive Sergeant in your hand, and like typically Zoo they open with like Flame Imp or
Flame Imp.
Knife Juggler.
That's true.
So I think it could even be argued that like you might throw that away just to have a higher chance of getting your other 1-drops. But then again, like zoos these days, they only run like 4 1-drops plus the 2 abusive sergeants.
The thing is, I feel like Ecop had to have a flame imp there because I don't think he would coin juggler because it's too bad against
abusive.
Like, abusive. Yeah, you want to play around that stuff, so you can kind of bluff in that aspect. It's actually pretty good for Eloise, I would say, just because she has a second juggler into Voidwalker, so she gets to juggle on the knife or on the imp. It's actually
it's so
really,
likely.
really, really important.
But what if we see the egg come down here for the potential Argus next turn?
It's just gonna depend on this this juggle, because like if she has double knife juggler and implosion, that's gonna be like the bee's knees.
The bee's knees, oh man.
The bee's knees.
So what is this playing around? Not really sure.
It's just
like,
developing the board. It's not like playing around anything.
it just feels like you might want to get out the egg just to play around the like the mass juggles, or just like at least like 1 juggle hit.
Well, I mean, you're not. I guess. Yeah, I guess that makes some sense. Whoa, that's important.
Whoa.
I think
No,
you go
what's
for the
important
Voidwalker.
is this one. The
No, you go for the Voidwalker because you want to protect it for the implosion, right? And just go for like the double implosion.
Yeah, I like that.
It's gonna hit twice anyway. So
Oh, the 1 and 4.
yeah, for sure.
Oh,
See? I told you. No
That's
problem.
disgusting. It's so gross. Oh my god.
and now without implosion, like this game is
Game over.
yeah.
So you
game
think
over.
you coin Argus and concede? I think that's the play.
I mean, I think Ekop would do that if it weren't like if this weren't a
This
team.
is we're in a
league.
team league, yeah.
Yeah.
So attack in to the flame imp, and then attack to the egg, and then implosion.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, and then just hope he doesn't have hellfire or something.
Yeah.
Seems good.
Bro, this is like the
4.
absolute dream
4.
here.
Get 4.
Yeah. No, I think this is actually this is actually good for Ekop because like all his bad RNG is coming out right now, right?
Yeah.
Casual like like it's like a fireball.
So I guess
a fireball, 8 damage
Coin
to face.
Doomguard in a knife juggler and still die, right? He's not dead. No. If he coins the Doomguard into a knife juggler, he survives. If the other remaining juggler is merciful. Right? That's 6. Yeah. If he does that, there's still a 1 in 4 that he dies to the juggles.
I think Eloise needs to play Mad Bomber with that type of RNG.
Yeah. Oh my god.
It's ridiculous.
You have to do it because then you play Doomguard and like Eloise is gonna disconnect and she doesn't have lethal on board, so they have to play over again. You know, have to extend it
So
all the way to the rope. That's right, Ekop. You got this.
yeah, that's why Ekop is taking so long.
This is his best chance to win. To
Yeah,
be fair.
maximizing his win rate.
All right. Well, Ekop gets completely smashed by the RNG gods.
Yeah, but you know what? This happened last series. Liquid went up 5-2 against Nilum, but Nilum still came back. And I think it's even more likely here because of mid-range Shaman.
Well,
we don't know yet.
We don't know. Yeah.
Okay.
If it's mech, it's probably gonna win a game. Like
Yeah.
there's just unstoppable openers from that deck, and it's just unlikely that you fail to get that. What, 4 times in a row? Okay, it's somewhat unlikely. It's Gara, so I mean, I don't know. It's possible, but yeah, Cloud9 struggling a bit here. Again, if Tempo Storm does take the point, they're about even in the team standings, which is a good position for Tempo Storm because otherwise they would basically be out. I think it's very difficult to come back from a 0-3 start.
Well, the thing is, you don't have to be last because the last place doesn't even get the redemption shot. You're just out of the tournament. So
Yeah.
as long as you're like top 7, like it's okay. Like sure, it might be bad if you're in the bottom like 2 or whatever, but still, as long as you're in the top 7, you still have a chance for the money, right? Or the glory, I guess.
All right. Well, if Tempo Storm right now is currently in the bottom 2, so they're
That's true.
yeah. And if they do lose this one, they will secure a spot to be either last or tied for last. So we are there. Yeah, we are there. And it's on Gara again. Gara has been not only playing these like weird decks, but he's had to be the closer. Just like you just have to get that last win, and he has not been good at that. And that's been really a big problem. I mean, the way I see it is you take a look at a team like Nylon, you take a look at a team like Tempo Storm. They both like usually have a nice lead, and RDU has like pulled out those clutch wins every time, and Gara has like failed to win that game that he needed every time. And it's not really anything on Gara, but it's, you know, that small change in circumstance is the difference between the top of the tournament or the bottom of the tournament.
Yeah. I mean, maybe it is on Gara because he's bringing such weird decks, you know, but like last week he brought Priest, but then again, you couldn't really blame him too much for bringing Priest because just like a few days before, he did really well with Priest in the HTC Recharge tournament.
Priest is good. I like Priest. It's a good deck. Good deck.
Mm-hmm.
Shaman, maybe a different story, but I think like #1 legend right now is Shaman or something.
Yeah, I saw that post on Reddit, but I think that he got ranked #1 legend at the beginning of the season, and it just took him like a week to like write an article on it.
Oh my goodness. Tisk.
Yeah. Also, like the Priest that he played around the same time that you had some success with Priest Dog was a different one. He was playing like the typical control Priest while you were playing the Death Lord Priest. What's your take on the differences between the two in the current meta?
I feel like the Light Bomb Priest is just better because you can okay, so like my win rate against Rogue is like 90%. I don't know how. It's just like it crushes them because they try to play like a few units. Most of these decks that you're playing against are like combo decks, so they don't have a lot of units, right? So if you Light Bomb just a few units that they do have, they can't really develop very much. Whereas like the other priests, you try to fight for board a lot and take initiative. But I feel like that's kind of harder because they're just going to clear your board with like a sweeper and then probably combo you down. But yeah, we'll see. This Shaman deck is going to be pretty exciting.
I hope so. It's going to have to beat the Zoo. I think Zoo is one of those... I think all the matchups are bad, as we talked about. But I think the Zoo Warlock is one that, like... I'm pretty sure I've won a few times myself. So I like it. It doesn't feel like hopeless.
Yeah, for sure. I think this is one of the better matchups that he could have gotten. Although I think they don't know what type of Shaman it is. So now we know it's mech.
It is mech. So things are just like suddenly starting to look a lot better for Gar.
Yeah.
Overall, yeah, but doesn't the mech Shaman kind of suck against the Zoo Warlock?
Yeah, but it's better against the other matchups. And I think what Cloud9 was trying to do here is they were just trying to scout the deck because the mulligan's the same regardless for Zoo.
Mm-hmm.
So they just wanted to like scout the deck that way. Patron like doesn't get rid of their Fiery War Axe or something, or
right,
things like that. I think it's pretty smart to try to scout the deck first, especially when just Zoo is same mulligans always.
Yeah. I think
Zoo's favored in both.
It's also what a
lightning bolts.
Double lightning bolt. Oh, that's interesting. Lightning bolt is typically not in Mech Shaman. It's just like a Gara edition. But also Zoo seems to be like it's also like slightly favored against both. So you want to send out like the deck that is going to be like getting the wins out. You want to send out your decks from strongest to least strong, just to get the number of wins so that you win in the game differential at the end of the season.
All right. Well, anything he plays is going to fall to Abusive Sergeant, I'd imagine, and I don't think we're going to see Lightning Bolt. So, what do we have die first? I would imagine it's probably going to be the Mech Warper. It seems the most solid, and if you can follow up with a Yeti, you might take a board lead, which is how you're supposed to win this game. But I don't think that ever actually happens.
Yeah.
One drop as well. Dang.
Sick.
Poor Mech Shaman. It's just the double lightning bolt's really, really bad. You always wanted to be drawing into your units first as opposed to the spells. It's interesting he didn't keep the Gar actually mulliganed away the Rock Biter. Or Rock Biter, yeah. I'm not sure if that's right or not. Because, like, Lightning Bolt's just significantly worse. It's not that he was looking for it, it's just that he got it, you know?
Yeah, it's much better to take some damage off the
Oh.
back end of a Rock
Whoa.
Biter than it is to...
This is...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
This
and then to
is really
overload
strange.
yourself.
You think they're unbounds in this deck? Unbound Elemental? Making a comeback?
Oh my goodness.
Like, who knows at this point? Like,
Maybe there's a Dune Maul Shaman. Maybe we'll get lucky.
yeah.
No
No,
chance. Come on.
The thing is, like,
So much
It's also-
synergy, though.
it's also weird that there's Mechanical Yeti in this deck because typically, like, the 4 drops you want are the Fire Guard Destroyers and the piloted Shredders. So I have to guess he at least has, like, some of the other two.
Well, he can Lightning Bolt here, and then he can do Mech Warper into Whirling Zap-O-Matic next turn.
I think you have to play a drop this turn. I think you have to play Mech Warper this turn. Or the Whirling Zap-O-Matic, and next turn you can just go Yeti into Lightning Bolt, whatever threat he plays.
Yeah. The real issue is that I think Implosion will, at least if it doesn't get a 2-drop, or if it doesn't hit for 2, I think it'll almost, like, seal the game because Mech Shaman has, like, basically no way to deal with a lot of 1/1s.
I just like removing all that stuff from the board. Like, you're always like thinking about Argus here.
Little time.
If you
You
Lightning
can
Bolt,
tell.
you do play around Argus.
Yeah. But you can tell that, like, Gar is taking this so seriously right now.
Well, it is a very serious game to win.
I like the Mech Warper, yeah. Next turn you can follow it up with, like, if it doesn't die, you could even get, like, a huge board, but... Yeah. So just Implosion, right? Seems
But what
solid
if you
enough.
get 2?
Yeah,
Which
if
you're
you
going
get,
to get because you're
Alright.
ECOP.
no, you're gonna get 4 because all your bad luck has been used in the last game.
No, it hasn't.
Alright, what do you guys think he's gonna get? I think he's gonna get a 3.
Yeah, I would have
going
guessed 3
2.
as well. I'm gonna go
2.
3.
Alright.
Ah,
All right. I concede.
I can see. But this isn't that bad for Gara because he can go Mech Yeti into Lightning Bolt on that next turn. This attack's actually really important from Ecop. Saves him an imp if he does attack.
Yeah.
I'd be impressed if he attacks. I'm not sure that I would. Good. Good play.
Okay. Here comes Rock Biter again. Not much use here. I mean, just look at this board state. Like, you know who wins here. You already know.
it's not just the board state, but, like, the spells in Gar's hand just are not good against it.
Yeah.
But you know, like Dog said, Agara will somewhat be able to take a board lead here, and if somehow Ekop he doesn't draw into, like, any ways to activate the egg, then maybe there's some hope.
I don't know. I think even if he just throws out the Doom card next turn, there's like no hope. Oh man. Those double lightning bolts so bad. This is why I don't like Mech Shaman. I feel like if you just don't curve out really early and you draw into like your spells or whatever, it's really, really bad, especially against like kind of aggro-ish decks. And that's why ladder. That's why there's not too much Mech Shaman on ladder. I feel like on ladder you can't play decks like this because there's
But
just so much
also-
aggro.
I've never really seen Mech Shaman with overload cards. Like,
That's
the
true.
overload cards they run are ones they use to kill the opponent.
Yeah, you kind of feel like the Feral Spirits is really weird because typically Mech Shaman is an offensive deck, but Feral Spirits is very defensive in nature.
Was Doomguard just like a really stupid play here?
2?
3.
2.
Oh. Gar's like, there's hope.
Ooh,
Oh, maybe not. That's a really
the
good
Rusty
spare card.
Horn. Value.
Wrecked.
Urshot could be nice.
Yeah, but like something
Oh.
had to come out of this deck
Oh,
for those
God.
lightning bolts and stuff, so it wasn't the mechs. I think
Well, it
it
could've-
was cards like Earthshock.
Well, it could have been like the lava bursts and the crackles.
That's true. He could have just replaced them with lightning bolts.
Is there like you really replace Crackle with Lightning Bolt? Like, what do you gain from that?
I don't think so.
Like
but
maybe you gain like you
can
make
cut
the
the lava
aggro
burst, though.
matchups. Yeah, you can put like there's usually one lava burst, but there's like Ekop has like Gara has like 2 lightning bolts and a feral spirits in his hand. But I think what Gara might be trying to do is that he's trying to make his deck more anti-aggro. So that's why he might have cut the Crackles in favor of like cards like Feral Spirit and Lightning Bolt. But it's like not working too well for him because I think sometimes like you just have to give up those like aggro matchups. Just go for like the matchups that you're good against.
I would say he just cut the lava burst. It makes the most sense to me. I mean, you're spending 5 mana for 5 damage, whereas lightning bolt is 2 mana for 3 damage, so it's not as bad.
It frees the 1/1.
Oh my god.
Whoa.
Value. Oh,
Oh.
is there actually merit to freezing the O2 there?
I was thinking about that as well, but
Yeah.
I don't think so because it doesn't matter. The imps could trade
Yeah,
into the 3/2.
Already
so it's-
activated.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Doesn't matter. Do knife juggler tap maybe? Oh, looks like I don't know about Doomguard
Looks like
here.
he's Doom guarding here.
Yeah. It seems like a pretty good hand. I mean, the knife juggler into flame imp. It seems pretty
Well-
good as well.
Actually, Gara has pretty good answers. It's just that he has no cards left against against the Warlock, who's at 30 life.
So the best case scenario is Gara top decks Dr. Boom. And then I think he would like be in a decent position
So he
if that
can't play
happens.
Dr. Boom. He has to play
Is
with
he
his
overloaded?
hand next turn. No, he just has to play with his hand next turn.
Okay.
Like next turn, because he's going to keep the spell damage totem, he has to Flame Tongue the spell damage totem, kill the egg, use the Lightning Bolt on the 4 attack, use the Lightning Bolt on the Doom Guard, and use the Rock Biter on face to kill the Flame Imp. So he has to use every card in his hand this turn.
So you
Oh,
go. Okay,
That's
so you
actually
go.
really good.
I don't know that you play that. You go Flame Tongue, you trade into the 0/2, and
Yeah.
then you Lightning Bolts the thing that comes out, and then you Lightning Bolt. So, wait, Gara can win this because there's only going to be 2 imps left on the board, and Gara can he make a totem as well?
That's
Yes.
Yes, he can, right?
Yeah.
So if he gets like a taunt or something, then he has the Flame Tongue up with 0/2 and a taunt, so that'd be pretty good.
Yeah.
Yep.
I don't think Ecop should have played the Doom Guard there, but that's just my opinion. I don't know. He must have been really scared of the Whirling Zapomatic.
I don't blame him.
Yeah.
I think I would have made exactly the same play in Ecop's shoes.
Yeah, I think like Ekop was really
I don't understand
Focus.
what there's to think about here, though. Like,
Yeah.
what?
Whoa.
Whoa! No! Oh my god!
All right,
Okay.
that's fine.
That's
I think he's
fine, but like,
I think
How
that
do you
was a
do
little
that?
better. Yeah.
Yeah, I think Ekop is just basically or rather Gar's hoping that Ekop doesn't have any way to activate this egg in future turns. But like, here's the thing: like, you still have to get this egg activated, or you have to, still have to go through the egg somehow.
You have to go through the taunt also. Like, yeah, exactly. It's just kind of difficult. It's not a good draw. Like, do you even pop the egg now?
probably not.
Maybe you just play the Flame Tongue and the Whirling Zapomatic and sit.
Yeah, seems good. If we went for the other play on this turn, it would be facing like a spell power totem plus the flame tongue totem, right?
Plus,
And then-
plus a random totem, and you could totem this turn and play Lothab. You couldn't totem Lothab, you'd be overloaded too much, but you could just Lothab.
Just like that. Well,
That's
I guess
fine.
he's thinking about positioning and attacking. I think attacking is obviously a mistake. I think positioning beside the taunt is best. I don't,
Yeah.
Like, if you're getting BGH'd, you're getting BGH'd anyway.
Bane of Doom. Oh, jeez.
It's really good.
Do you Bane of Doom the taunt? Or do you Bane of Doom
No.
the 3/2?
3-2.
Does it really matter too much?
No, it doesn't matter at all.
Yeah, it doesn't. I was about to say.
Well, no, it might matter. What if you get Mal'Ganis, right?
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Well, you don't
Well-
trade it first, obviously.
Okay, yeah.
No, if you get Mal'Ganis, then a 1/1 kills
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
the
That's
2/2
right.
without dying.
Okay, that's like slightly above average, I'd say.
That's pretty good. Actually, there's some merit to just kill the 2/2 taunt with Lothab here. Because your board is so well protected.
Yeah.
And I think right now it's just going to be the Warlock hero power taking over.
I like this.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's just attack into that a few times.
So
Nice.
there is the Crackle.
Cool.
So Crackle, Loatheb, Totem, hope for Taunt, and then trade. I guess healing wouldn't be terrible.
That's pretty bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably the worst one.
All right. Unicop's able to clear that up pretty easily. And GG.
Well, game over.
Oh, wow. Even that, too.
The Deathwing will come out, then you guys will be sad.
Yeah, so at this point, this like we've talked about before, this might be one of those situations where I think Gara might just be better off conceding just to not show off the rest of his deck because his deck is just so weird and we haven't seen anything like it before. 2 Flame Tongues? So that's also like an addition because you typically don't see 2 Flame Tongues in Mech Shaman. It's usually just 1. And
Really?
I'm not sure. Yeah, it's usually just 1. And
Or 0. We've seen 0.
yeah, we've seen 0 as well. But also it's kind of weird because you typically with Flame Tongues, you probably want a lot of lower tier minions like 1 drops and 2 drops, but you're running like double Lightning Bolt as well, so it doesn't like seem like that synergizes as well.
The thing is, the only reason to keep playing is like saying that you have a Lightning Storm, right? I just don't understand. How do you do 16 damage?
Yeah.
Wait, no. Actually, wait. If he doesn't die in 2 turns, can he win with Doomhammer into Rockbiter?
Maybe that's what he's thinking.
And then the Warlock has to tap once and not play once.
Exactly.
I don't think Ecop is capable of doing that sequence of plays.
Mhm.
That would be really... Oh,
No, he's gonna taunt. He's fine.
okay, well then he has to like not play the taunt. Oh, he played the taunt. Alright.
Oh man, game over. Like something else could be like Alakir. No, not Alakir wouldn't do it, but yeah.
I
There
actually
we
think Gara was thinking about exactly that sequence. Because I mean, what else would have really done it? There's like nothing. I don't know. It looks like Gara has a really long road ahead of him right now.
Yeah,
exactly.
he does. Well, at least it's Mech Shaman, so he can beat like
Is
he can
it?
beat the Warrior. Is it Mech Shaman?
I don't know if it's
Feral.
Mech Shaman.
We saw the Feral Spirits and the Lightning Bolt, but we saw Whirling Zapomatic, Mech Warper, and
Right,
Mech
but
Things.
But here's what we didn't see. We didn't see a Neutron, which like protects the Whirling Zapmatic and wins you the game. We didn't see Fell Reaver, which wins you the game.
He might have cut the Fell Reavers. He might have cut all the 8 drops to be anti-BGH. That's possible.
Yeah, Fell Reavers. We didn't even see Fire Elementals or like the Alakirs, Doctor Boom, Ragnaros are like some of the typical ones we see from Mech Shaman. So I have to say, like, I think that deck might have been like decent against Zoo, even like better than like most Mech Shaman decks, but it still just wasn't enough.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel it certainly has some matchups that it basically has almost no chance of winning, even with a really good draw. At least from what we saw out of the deck so far.
Yeah, but going back to that like 1 key turn, if Gar had played it out slightly differently, he might have he would have taken board control first of all, and then it would have been really hard for Ekop to take it back.
Well, Dr. Boom was drawn like 2 turns later, so maybe not.
Yeah,
But
it would have had to been a race basically.
Yeah, the game would have drawn out a lot more, and as a result, the Warlock would have taken a lot more damage. So, yeah, I think that was the line of play that Gar could have won with, but I still think was very unlikely
He
to.
probably would have lost still, but
Probably would have lost, yeah.
All right, so that's 1 deck down, and Gar just has to win against one of these 3 other ones.
Well, Kalento did have one of the worst showings last week as well.
Yeah. And in fact, Kalento, he lost to Mech Mage against Brian Kibler in the first match between Cloud9 and Value
Mech
Town.
Shaman.
yeah, what's
sorry, Mech Shaman.
Kalento's record right now? Does
So
anyone
what's
know?
his record?
was-
I'll bring it up here in a second.
He was 0-4, 2-0, and then 0-1, so that's 2-5 right now.
2 and 4, apparently, is what
Oh,
is
no,
he
on.
No, he lost once today, so it's 2-5 now.
Oh, I
have a-
see.
How
Yeah,
did
yeah,
he
that's
have a
that's true.
bad showing last week then?
No, he had a good showing. He went 2-0 last week.
Okay, yeah. The
Yeah.
first week he went 0-4. That's right.
Oh, okay. Okay. I got them mixed up a little bit.
Yeah, but I mean, like, if your last two players are Colento and Stripecrow, like, you got to be feeling like pretty good, right?
I mean, Gara is a very, very good player.
Yeah.
Oh,
So-
it's actually funny because Gara is like one of the only players that practices with Colento and also practices with Stripecrow. So from what I actually hear, like Gara practices with like these two players, or rather, Colento practices with Gara more than like pretty much anyone else.
Yeah, I think that's the case as well. Tempo Mage. Tempo Mage should beat Mech Shaman, right? That seems like a good matchup.
The thing is, like, Tempo Mage is such a new deck, and Mech Shaman is like, it feels like they don't play against each other enough that like it's really hard to see how that matchup would play out, right? But you know what, Strifecrow's Tempo Mage, it runs double Arcane Missile, so I guess that might help a bit in the matchup.
It looks like he's going for Rogue. Rogue
Yeah.
should be fine so long as like the reason why Rogue is usually unfavored against Mech Shaman is because usually they're like Fell Reavers or like Ragnaros or Boom, things that Rogue really can't deal with.
Didn't
But we
see
really,
any of that.
yeah, we didn't see that from Gara's Shaman. So
Double Crackle as well. So he runs double Lightning Bolt, double Crackle, double Rockbiter weapon.
he must have just cut the Lava Burst. It makes the most sense.
Maybe even like cutting Earth Shocks there.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, we didn't see any of those.
Yeah, it definitely hurt against the Zoom matchup, but I think it definitely could help here because most rogues these days, they don't run Van Cleef.
Well, I don't really know what to call here. I mean, we've seen so many strange cards out of Gara. We know there's probably more strange cards in there. And you can't, there's 30 cards in these decks. It's not like he's playing a 38 card deck. So, like, I'm even afraid to call this like a Mech Shaman because it would probably play so differently.
This is
Oh, here's a new card, Doomhammer.
It's actually really
Yeah.
important in this matchup. And Loatheb
Yeah.
as well. Do you go for the Greed, Coin, Mech Warper?
Is that greedy, or is that just how you have to play this deck to get wins?
I don't think you have to play the deck like that,
Okay.
but it looks like he's going for it. Colento's hand is actually really, really good. Prep Eviscerate's really important against Mech Shaman.
Yeah,
So
especially
much
with the
better
Violet
than the
Teacher.
Finn. Exactly.
Yeah, that's probably like one of the like back when Violet Teachers were more used in Rogue. It's pretty much like the blowout play against Druid, for example. Like Violet Teacher prep Eviscerate or Violet Teacher prep Sap. Like Druid just like can't deal with that typically. And I think like the Mech Shaman would also be hard pressed, except with something like a Crackle that just happens to deal at least 5 damage.
Ooh, curving
Oh,
out.
that's a good draw.
Yeah.
Keeping the totems in check. Sometimes it's not that important, but he has double Flame Tongue, right?
Yeah, and I
This
think this
prep of
just might be
this-
over.
Oh my goodness, this prep of this is so devastating.
Sorry.
Yeah, like we hate to
Sorry
call it.
about that.
Yeah, exactly. We hate to call it so early, but like, what can Mech Shaman do here? Like, there's no Lightning Storms in this deck, most likely. And,
Most
like,
likely.
Yeah, yeah, we have to temper that with most likely. But basically, I don't think Kalanta will ever let go of this board.
Does Shredder hope for some shenanigans? I have no idea. I mean, if you Shredder, you might be able to start clearing the board with Doomhammer. And if Kalento bricks and just draws like Prep and like some other useless card, maybe.
Yeah, in terms of value, like if Kalento draws nothing from now on, it seems like the Shaman might have a chance.
Kalento's drawn really well this game, though. Like, really, really well.
Yeah.
He's curving out really nicely.
I mean, isn't this like just the best you could hope for? I can't think of like any other cards that he would rather have than what he's gotten so far.
Oh, he doesn't want to play the SI? I guess he might as well just trade in the 3/3, right?
Yeah.
I've noticed that, like, just in tournaments, just people really, really want to play on curve, even if it seems like a bit suboptimal. I think there's just some hidden value in playing on curve and having cards that are a bit cheaper. Maybe you can play more of them at a later time in the game. I think overall that kind of works out better statistically.
I don't know if playing on curve is too important whenever you have one card in hand, but yeah, I agree with you. Playing on curve is pretty important.
Yeah. You have to up that mana utilization statistic, right, dog?
Oh yeah, of course, that's super important.
Well, I'm looking at a Doomhammer attack twice into a Shredder and get a Doomsayer, right? Are we there yet?
Are you that behind? Like, I mean, maybe Kalento.
I feel like you're that behind right now.
Okay.
I would not fault him for making that play. You could go for the Loatheb this turn, but ultimately you can't make that play. You can't hope for the Doomsayer next turn because you're not going to have enough health to Doomhammer it twice.
So basically, at that point where you're going for the Doomsayer, you're saying that I have less than like a 1 in 60% chance of
1 in a 60, 1 out of 67 or something. Yep, I would say that.
Okay. Well, with this play, you can maybe Doomhammer next turn. Maybe.
Oh my god.
Oh, look at that. That's a good card.
That's pretty good. That's
pretty good.
Yeah.
So what can you do? 1/1 into the shield, 4/3 into the Neutron, 3/5 into the 3/4, heal your Vile Teacher, and SI kill the...
You could just leave up the 3/4.
I think the most important part here is like just to try to get that just like try not to get that the Pilot Shredder dead, because like it does seem like the only way you can lose is the Doomsayer. Like save like as much life as possible on it. So with that line of thought, you probably don't want to trade your 4/3 into the 3/4, I guess, and like no matter what else you do, it seems pretty fine.
I don't mind just going face here, putting him on a clock.
Yep, that's what he's doing.
It's interesting he chose to... Oh, he's killing it. Okay. I was going to say it's... Oh, no, he's not killing it. It's interesting he chose to not sacrifice the 1/1.
And here it comes.
Doomsayer time.
Is there any other, like, super brick? There's, like, explosive sheep brick enough?
No.
Probably not.
Well, you have the Doomhammer, right? So you can Lightning Bolt it, and then Doomhammer that, and then you can clear off all but 2, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you have to start this turn off with trading into the Pilot Shredder. There's just no other way to play
you would
this.
play
Like...
the Lightning Bolt.
Okay.
Yeah, I think the Lightning Bolt is better. Well, if you Lightning Bolt and he gets like some bad 0 attack something, you could like Flame Tongue and kill the Battle Teacher as well.
Okay, so again,
spell damage.
Gar's going for, I guess, the safer play altogether.
I can fix anything.
I guess this is pretty reasonable, actually, right? Oh.
I mean, if the rogue drew prep there, I still think Gar would have lost. Which would have been the worst draw for Kalento.
Yeah, the life lead is just unimaginable here. And that Doomhammer serves not a big purpose when the rogue is now finally down to 29.
Do you think Gara should have made the play turn 1 to coin out that Mech Warper? I mean, what are the odds he has the backstab, right? I felt like if he wouldn't have coined that out, the game would have been significantly different, but
How so?
at the same time, you
Like-
kind of have to go for that, right?
Yeah, I feel. I mean, I agreed with his play, even though he got punished and wrecked and he lost.
Mhm.
Maybe that's why I don't play those decks.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm like, if I do this, I lose immediately if like he has the backstab, so I don't really want to do this, but...
I think there might have been some merit to holding on to the Mech Warper if he had like multiple other 2-drops in his hand, so he could play like a huge Mech Warper turn. But like just looking at that game, if he'd saved the Mech Warper for turn 2, perhaps, I think the same exact result would have happened. Like the Vi Teacher prep eviscerate, right? And I think it was just like down to Kalento just having the nuts in that game. Not really Gara's fault at all, not even the deck's fault.
I mean, realistically, Kolento used every single mana crystal effectively
Like
until
every
the
turn.
7th turn.
Oh man.
So, yeah, you can't really fault much of that game. Most of it lies on the fact that I really think that Shaman deck isn't so great.
Yeah, fair enough. I think most people would agree with you, especially like after watching those last two games. And we've actually seen this quite a lot from Gar, where he brings like these weird decks, but it just doesn't happen to pan out well. And not just in the Archon League, but oftentimes in just like random leagues, like maybe even in the NEL league that you're in, Dog. Did that ever happen sometimes?
Did whatever happen?
That he like just brought a really weird deck and it just
Not
consistently
really.
didn't do well.
We always discussed the decks to bring before, and it always worked out pretty well for us. I don't think this deck is as bad as we're making out to be. It's literally just, to me, it's Mech Shaman with 2 lightning bolts in it, and as opposed to double lava burst. So I don't see how that would make a difference. If those were lava bursts in those games, it wouldn't have made a difference.
Yeah, but then again, we haven't seen like Fel Reaver,
The Feral
Dr.
Spirits
Boom.
is the Feral
Dr. Boom.
Spirits are the only thing that are
If it's Feral Spirits over Fel Reaver, and we haven't even seen a Power Mace, I don't know.
That's true. I don't know why he wouldn't bring Power Mace is the reason why you run like Mech Shaman.
Yeah. It could just be really bad draws.
All right, so this is like kind of like the battle of like the creative decks here.
That's not Strife Girl, that's Kolento.
And
I really like this image of Gar though.
Yeah, he looks to be in like somewhat pain.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, he probably is.
But because we see this Ragnaros in Strifegrow's hand, this leads me to believe that this Tempo Mage is indeed based off of like the Null Tempo Mage, KNO, instead of like the Hyunher Tempo Mage that everyone was running like a month ago. This is kind of like the more modernized version of Tempo Mage, and it basically runs Rag over Antonidas and more Arcane Missiles in it.
Why wouldn't you just run both?
Because like
cut the Echo and add that in. I feel like that gives you just as much value, but maybe I'm wrong.
But that deck doesn't run Echo. I think that's just
okay.
like Strifecrow's own little, creation.
Well, Striker goes for the highest tempo play. Fortunately for him, it's the only one that doesn't get wrecked. And that kind of invalidates Garo's hand. And he realizes it. He's like, are you kidding me?
Yeah, the mirror. It's a pretty good impression.
Yeah.
The mirror images are like the most important card right now, for sure. Like, keeping Striker alive.
Oh, it's so funny. Like Gara finally gets a good hand with this deck, and it's punished because Strifecrow has like the one thing. Like what else? What else counters that? There's like nothing else.
If you're Strifecrow, what do you do here? Do you draw?
No, you ping.
You ping?
Yeah, you get the mech off the board.
Yeah, but what if he just plays another mech? Then you're behind. I guess next turn you can Flame Cannon ping.
Yeah.
I guess that works. Looks like he's just gonna go with the Flame Cannon.
Oh, it's like the least value
It's weird.
Flame Cannon ever.
Yeah, and he didn't even. Oh, see? Lightning Bolt to get past those mirror. Oh, and you guys were insulting it. Look how good that is. If he had that turn one, dang.
I actually don't
awesome.
even think you play it. I think you play
Yeah,
the
you
Spider
don't.
Tank.
Yeah, he's just Spider Tank.
Yeah, so Strifecrow not playing on curve last turn.
That was a
Maybe.
little strange to me.
Yeah. It's like pretty much the same as if he had pinged last turn, basically.
I'd argue that in like either case, it was basically the same thing, which is bad.
Exactly, you'd rather have the card
Yeah.
than the.
If the best case was the same as the ping, then you'd want Flame Cannon in your hand.
I still think you have to Spider Tank here.
Yeah.
You just saw Flame Cannon. He probably would have used 2 if he had to.
I mean, if he has Flame Cannon, so what? Let him use it.
Yeah.
You still kill the 3-1 when you're 1-2 now. I can understand why it's taken so long, because I would also be confused by Strifecrow's play.
Yeah. And Strifecrow this turn, he's like, oh, I really wish I had a Flame Cannon now.
Do you play the Flame Waker? Strifecrow's hand is really good also. I think that was a pretty big misstep.
Yeah, he's like not drawing into any of like the dead cards in his deck, which are quite a lot, I would say. Like the Echoes, the
Drakes and stuff.
yeah, Drake's, Ragnaros, Doctor Boom. Yeah, I think this
What
is
does that
fine.
do? It's
You,
fine.
you hope that it survives, and then it might do something next turn.
Yeah, but if it doesn't survive, you basically lose the game.
Well, it also this situation is kind of interesting
I think you
because
have to
now
play Shredder. You just let him
Yeah.
go off.
like,
Really?
if you don't play Shredder, yeah, I like Shredder too because like if you don't develop the board, you're gonna be behind anyway, I guess.
Next turn you can deal with it with Shredder into something else, and Shredder contests it pretty well.
Yeah.
Just by
Okay.
itself.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
And like
you're-
if you don't play the Shredder, then how are you gonna kill this Flame Waker anyway? It's gonna be like a little ridiculous unless you roll the spell power totem.
no,
Hearthstone's
you
so
can, you
easy,
can
just add
rock
up
biter
numbers.
the 3/4 and attack into it for 6.
That's okay as well. I mean, you already saw Mirror Image. Are you just like expecting Arcane Missiles or something? You probably would have used that turn 1.
Yeah.
I don't know if I like that attack.
Oh.
So,
That's a good
Sorcerer
one.
Intellect, I guess. Hope for M Missiles. That seems right.
Yeah, hope for just something you can play.
Missiles or Sacred mirror Image would be pretty insane here.
Almost.
Oh, it's a little off.
Ooh,
Okay.
double. Ooh, it's looking good for Gara now. That's for sure.
I think I like the Lightning Bolt over the Rock Biter because he has the
Yep,
Whirling
Whirling.
Zapmatic in hand. We know he has Doomhammer.
Yeah, I like it as well.
We
And
haven't seen anything above
yeah.
6 also. So
exactly. So he's probably going to curve out pretty well here.
it looks like he wants the whirling up.
Yep.
I think that's okay too.
Yeah, it seems good.
Taunt Totem's actually really important as well. That's a good one. Rock Biter, interesting. Well,
Yeah,
okay.
he sees it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it doesn't really make too much sense that you would use the Rock Biter here.
Well, next turn you'd be able to use the you're overloaded next turn, so you're forced to play Shredder, and next turn you'd be able to play the other thing.
Well, Strifecrow is basically down to 1 play here, I feel.
Yeah.
Like it's Flamewaker Frostbolt on. I guess you can, if you think you're totally screwed. I guess you can go for the Shredder.
I think you go for the 3/2 and hope that one of your things hits 4/3. That seems fine.
Yeah. Yeah. The Tempo Mage is a deck that is often dominating or dominated, and like there's very few back and forth games. Right now, Strifecrow is at like a massive disadvantage.
Yeah. It's basically like if you can get a Flame Waker or like a Mana Worm behind mirror images or you don't. So this is like the less risky play, I guess. I don't know. I think he wants to save like his Flame Waker for like more potential later on.
Gara's got this. Easy
Believe-
Shredder.
Believe in your boy Gar.
Yeah, I like the Shredder too, but I think the Totem is okay as well. Like you push for 8 here.
I really don't like the totem. I think that's kind of silly.
I don't think it's silly because like it basically forces Strifecrow to use direct damage to kill it, or he's gonna lose the game. So if Strifecrow has direct damage, would you rather him kill a Shredder or your Totem? I think it's pretty close.
Well, the Shredder has a death rattle, so you'd get that. But I guess it's like having charge. I just feel like you can get value from Flame Tongue next turn also, because you're gonna have such a sticky board. There's no way he clears it, so it's fine to hold
Yeah.
it. But there is merit in playing it, I guess. Emperor and Prey.
Emperor, hope your opponent thinks it's a taunt. That it soaks up at least 5 damage.
I mean, it is kind of a taunt. I think you kind of have to. You can trade. Like, it's fine. Oh no!
Oh.
Face.
Well, game over here.
Ace is the place.
boys.
I would have expected Gar to have like a stronger reaction here because like you got to think that pretty much locks out the game, right?
Yeah,
Like-
I don't see what happens here.
What could Strifecrow have here?
No, just no.
Yeah.
Someone to DDoS Gara, I guess. I don't know.
Don't
Something
jinx it.
that. Don't jinx it.
Well, No, even if Gar disconnects, I think it would be ruled in his favor because I don't think there's any possible outcome that he could stay alive there.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So Tempo Storm.
No, like you can't even fireball a Shredder to get a Doomsayer.
Yeah.
It's
I
8
really
mana.
I want to see Gar's celebration here when he does win. Like it has to be like such a huge relief for him.
Why hasn't he celebrated already? Is what I'm thinking. Like,
Yeah.
okay.
It's
Well,
the
there he
first
goes,
win
guys.
of the
Tempo Storm takes that very elusive 6th win in this best of 11 team format. Tempo Storm is now on a record of 1-2, and they pushed Cloud9 to the 1-2 bracket as well. That basically means the teams are still alive, which is interesting. I like to see the close battles. I'd like to see all the teams have a chance to qualify to the next stage, and we're still in that stage yet.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, with all the teams going pretty much 1-3, except for a few outlier teams like Nilhelm and possibly Forsen Boys. Yeah, we might see like 2 groups here, but it definitely seems to be like everyone's pretty much clumping around the same position, and that kind of like you can kind of relegate that to like just being Hearthstone. Like it's a bit RNG based, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I think it was due time that Gara actually won when he needed to at the end of a pretty close series. So good for him. Although I have to be honest, I had extreme doubts it was possible.
I had to agree with you there, but
yeah.
like I was actually kind of rooting for Gar here. Like he's definitely like one of the players that like cares the most if he wins or not. Like he gets very emotional when he loses, obviously, and like I think like he really cares about this team, like because like he is a very much a team player. He's like a very like a Tempo Storm player at heart, basically.
All right, well, we can see from the standings there, Tempo Storm is in fact ahead of Cloud9. If it would have been a 6-5 series, it would have been a tie, but Tempo Storm kind of edges out Cloud9 just by that one game.
Yeah, but you know, I have to give some shout out to Team Liquid as well, because it looks like Team Liquid can't finish like above or below 5th place at the end of this week. So at least we have a good game differential. Yeah. I did the math there. Trust me on that one.
We'll trust you. Anyway, guys, it's been great. Thank you, Monk. Thank you, Dog. You guys did great. It was an awesome couple games against the teams we had today. Just before we head off, I want to shout out for the sponsors. I want to talk about Alpha Draft. If you guys want to check out their site, they're doing a fantasy team, and you can sign in. You can get a bonus upon registering. So you guys can check that out. You guys can bet on your players. And you can tune in tomorrow for Forsen Boys and Archon at 10 a.m. PDT. Check it out. Hope you guys had a good time watching the stream tonight. And maybe we'll see you guys tomorrow.
Yeah. Thanks, Dog, for joining us. And I believe that's pretty much it. Have a good night.
I can't be alone here. I can't be the only one who feels like I'm going nowhere. Just wishing somehow this dream will carry me. And I'll swear just one last time. They say the world is yours, so I'ma make it mine. 'Cause nothing is stopping you. You can set the world on fire. Nothing is Cause nothing is stopping you. You could set the world on fire. Nothing is stopping you. And if I go out, I'll go out screaming. If I go out, I'll go out screaming. Won't catch you now.